Oh, Lord, we ready? Brave man. Fall with the battle cry. Tears in the eyes of the loved ones and most. And I don't know that word. Come on, everybody. Wildfire. It should have been different. It could have been easy, but cotton profits keep that slavery. And now everybody coming out the closet. Out the closet. I appreciate this song. Mandarin Orange, Wildfire. Wow. Or Pridefur. Pridefur. I gotta get my screen together. In the ashes grew sweet liberty. Like the seeds of the pine. And something about the pirates. And the Corsair pirates. Cause everybody been through some slavery. But people don't want to talk about that. It should have been different. It could have been easy. But too much money rolls in to ever end slavery. And now the Democrats love it as much as the Republicans. Yo, they come out the closet now. Wow. Or Pridefur. Pridefur. Prideful in your fur. I'm almost together. Hold on. I gotta make the plantation bigger. Remember the air guitar? You're not a cool, not the white, not stupid, not ignorant, not American. It's a global pandemic. Global Pride Day. Civil War came. Brother fought brother. And now I understand how. Because we're ignorant and we watch that television. And hatred legislated down through these. I want to look at the lyrics. It should have been different. And it could have been easy. But pride has a way of holding too firm. And now the monkeys think they won the election, but they didn't win. It's always the Rothschilds. Rothschilds. I gotta beat it. Hold on. Rothschilds. But y'all make sure that y'all didn't hit that little like a heart button. My singing is fun. I'm gonna look at the lyrics to Wildfire. Hey, good morning. Who is that? Darlene, good morning. Have a good day, have a good day, have a good day, but I can't, cause bipartisan ignorance. Hey, Heather, good morning. He was born a Southern son in a small Southern town where the rebels run wild. So he could tell you about the rebels. Whew, they swear they're going to rise again because the government wrote the laws to make artificial scarcity. It should have been different. It could have been easy, but they keep legislating for more slavery. Hate should have gone with it. And it's not hate anymore. It's just money. Come on, everybody. Global slavery caught in a wildfire because Pridefur. You get that? Pridefur. Hey, good morning, Greg. How you doing this morning? Wildfire. We are in a wildfire around the world. A lot of people still don't know that. They're still hiding from a virus. All right, let me fix me. I'm ready to go. A lot of interesting things this morning. Good morning, everybody. How y'all? Oh, you can't see the cotton. You can see the cotton. That's good enough. So make sure you see the cotton. Everything. That's my favorite line of this song, Mandarin Orange, Wildfire. He said it could have been different. It could have been easy, but too much money rolled in to close the Pentagon. To end slavery. Whew, good Lord have mercy. Good morning, everybody. Well, I tell you, it's a good day. They're coming out the closet. All the prideful for everybody that loves slavery. They don't want to admit it. They don't want to admit that globally we serve globalists and we're just rolling out more slavery. Oh, they got the TPP coming back out, which is just slavery. Global trade is just slavery. And you got to give Trump credit. He defied that. Where's my charger? When y'all take my charger? Damn it. Global trade is just slavery where you ain't got to work. So you're happy with it because you're not the one doing the work. You're either getting the minerals and resources from Africa, the Middle East, some Chinese slaves, and you're good to go because it ain't you. Y'all know that, right? Y'all know the TPP, the reason why we hated TPP, and why I know they're working on 2.0. I haven't watched anything that these ignorant people have said, but I guarantee you they're working on somebody laughing. I know they're working on 2.0. You ain't got to tell me that. That's how slavery works. Too much money rolls in to ever end slavery, and you got the monkeys on this side, and they're happy with the slavery because it ain't them. That's why I call people on fraud. Who was that? Somebody tagged me in a post yesterday, some little ignorant post. I don't want to hear nothing from a race of people that enslaved another race of people and something stupid. I'm like, first of all, I know race of people have enslaved a race of people on this planet. You always got lords and kings that pay people or starve them to death unless they go pick somebody up. Ain't nobody enslaved your butt. But the whole point of like getting people to argue about slavery again from 300 years ago is to get them to embrace the slavery from today. That's all. They like smartphones. They like cotton, and they're okay with somebody else picking it, not them. That's why it's good. Like the closets are being swinging them closets open. See, everybody that loves globalism and slavery, just come on out. Just embrace your slavery. You love the cotton trade, but you hate statues of Robert E. Lee. You know why they want you to knock down them statues? Because they don't want you, because they're working on their own statues. They're working on their own statues, and they need you to knock down the statues from old so they can build their own. But people, they did a good job the last 4 years convincing people to die. Donald Trump erased it. Good morning, everybody. It's all about money. It's all about money. Ain't never about your race, your fur, your religion, nothing that. I mean, psychology's been saying this for a long time. I was posting about that this morning. For the longest time, just been saying, look, identity is the foe of independent thought. Critical thought. You cannot be independent if you are with a group, because in the group, you're going to do groupthink, which means you're going to do group things, which means you're going to get played into define your own best interest. I can take this off. I can take my case off. Good morning, everybody. How's it going? Oh, a bunch of interesting stuff. Ron Paul did a good one this morning. Oh, did y'all see Jive and Bowden? Y'all see? Ron Paul did a thing this morning, and his co-host Daniel. Do you know within hours of Jive and Bowden, because that's why I call him Jive and Bowden, because I knew it was coming. His name will be Jive and Bowden all 4 years, 2 years before they replace him with the other one. I'm gonna call him Jive and Bowden the whole time because he jiving. And a few hours after he signed the bill, it said if you are on federal, it was United States Incorporated property, which is solely owned by the Bank of England. If you are on their property, that you have to have a face diaper on. And you know what he did? he got his family together. They went down to federal property, United States Incorporated property, Bank of England property in front of the Lincoln Memorial with his family. Guess what they did? They had no face diapers on, and they all took a picture. Did y'all see the picture? I got it here. Hold on. And they took pictures without face diapers. Like, they don't even care anymore. That's what everybody coming out the closet now. They don't give two damns about you. Look at this. I got to leave it plugged in. Otherwise, you can't see. I have to upload. They went down and took a picture. You have an owner class and you got a slave class. Look at this. Look at this right here. They don't even care about y'all. Look at that. Right down there. Look, Lincoln Memorial. Taking pictures without face diapers. Can y'all see that? I gotta get this out the case so I can't even see the screen. He don't even care. Jive and both. But that's a good thing. These politicians, man, I tell you what, your colonizer, their colonizer, they're all some colonists. A good old board network. It's a big old club, and you ain't in it. And these monkeys right here serve the ruler class, the owning class, and they're the ruling class. That's all you get. That's all you get. Come on, everybody. Globalism. So we got into a lot of interesting conversation. But it's prideful fur. People are prideful in their fur, and they're willing to enslave and oppress everybody else, and people should know better. Oh, yeah, on that post, I got tagged. I don't know who it was. It was a long post. I couldn't, I appreciate y'all tagging me and stuff. I try to go and take a look and explain things to ignorant people. Just first of all, please don't talk about slavery if you don't know nothing about All right. If you haven't studied the history of slavery from all sides, starting back to Egypt, to the Corsair pirates in North Africa, to modern slavery and African slavery and American slavery and Arab slavery. If you don't know nothing about no damn slavery today, shut up, please. I love you, but shut up, because you're making a mess. All you're doing is creating more prideful fur, causing more wildfires. This world is about to burn, and it should burn. I hope your world burns the hell up. Why? Because I don't like cotton. I'm on the cotton plantation right now. Come on, everybody. Let me see. We'll see. I do want to kind of take a look at the news today. A lot of interesting stuff today. Oh, look. Oh, did y'all see the Praveen Mohan did a great one. He did a great video talking about war. He's looking like at the ancient pictures of war in one of the temples in India. And it was how chaotic it was. It was interesting. I think it was called Bed of Arrows or something like that. And, just a depiction of war, people playing banjos, the other people leading the charge, other people fighting this, and monkeys and people jumping over spears and swords. And it's just chaotic. And that's what war is, the fog of war. You can get a lot done in politics in the fog of war. You have no idea what side you're supposed to be on, who you're supposed to be fighting, what's going on. And it gets so confusing in war. All you can do is look at the flags, right? Because you got that smoke of war, the fog of war. And you just look up, the flag says run this way, you run that way. You don't know who you're stabbing or killing or whatever. And that's what politics in America is about. All right, people are so scared and so much crazy stuff is going on. They're just doing what they're told. It's a scary thing. I got a text message this morning. They said that I love it when you slaves text me in the morning. Text me, says something about Twitter is they're creating a new way to fight misinformation. So you can giving groups access to do that. And I just reply, I said, thank you for reminding me to delete my account. I might delete my account right here online. I might delete that joker live. Zero interest. If you got more power and you can shut down voices, I'm not interested. I don't care who the voice is. I don't care what they're saying. I should not be on your platform. I'll work on the ones I can work on. It's easy for me though, because Twitter, I suck at Twitter anyway. I don't know how to tweet. So it's an easy way for me to back out. And I'm gonna delete that account today. Hell yeah, you're gonna do that just for Donald Trump? It has nothing to do with Donald Trump. It is a principle, right? You want all the information. I love science. You got to put all the information out there, and you use good speech to fight hate speech, assuming that's what he was doing. I don't think that's what he was doing, but I want to hear all speech. That's a scientific approach to solving problems. Anyway, good morning, everybody. I got to delete that. But yes, they're coming out of the closet. Everybody who loves slavery now, and you get to call them on it too. You got to call them on their bullshit. Call them on it. Call them on it. That whole South African thing is racist. I'm telling you. I said, no, he's doing that because of the virus. No, he's stopping travel because of other things, and they don't tell us those things. Do you think, aren't you like a little suspicious that the beginning of every administration starts off with blocking travel and immigration from other countries? All right, hang on, let me see. Power's hooked up, essential oils on a different grid. Got my singing out the way. That's not singing, Gerard. I know, shut up. Coffee is hot, phone is charging. We ready to go have a discussion. Come on, everybody. How's everything doing? How's everything going? Let me see, that is on, open this up. It's snowing today. It's supposed to be a snowstorm out here today. Good morning, Lynn. How you doing this morning? How's your family and tribe doing? Good morning, Christine. All right. I'm gonna go up in comments. We'll start off. I gotta start off greet people. Try to get through the comments. How they do? I don't speak Lori. I'm not sure what that is, Lori. You got too many patients this morning. Yeehaw! Yeah, Jonathan. Yeah. I'm in solidarity with the South, Jonathan. I love the South. I yeehaw all day. I listen to everything because there's something about musicians. How does that? Something about the musicians use the front and back brain, or left and right brain, something like that, and it connects like creative people, artists. It connects more than the rest of us, and so the lyrics to songs are amazing, Jonathan. And I love Mandolin Orange, that's the name, Wildfire, because it actually tells you what the hell is wrong with America. People think, yeah, I know, it's white supremacy. No. I know, it's immigration. No. You have a corporation that legislates scarcity, and they explain that too much money rolls in to ever end slavery. So it never ends because they put money between the monkey and the bananas. And the central banks own the money and they print the money. Oh my goodness, Jonathan, who did a great talk this morning? Max Kaiser. I won't bore y'all to death. He was talking about banking. Banking and finance fascinates me. And he was talking about Bitcoin this morning. Boy, they slide my position on Bitcoin. They sliding the hell out that position because of something Ron Paul said and something Kaiser said a while ago. And that is, see, the reason why we're in endless war, the reason why we have endless colonization and blowing countries up and stealing resources, the only way they can do that and steal everything the indigenous people have is they have endless bombs. They have endless bullets. They have endless tanks. And so the colonizers never run out of bullets and bombs, and the spears are ineffective. The arrows can't work. When you get rid of central banking, when you get rid of fiat currencies and digital currencies that they control and they regulate, you're going to see the American military back the hell up. You're going to see the Canadian military and the British military. You're going to see all of them back out of their colonization that they're doing for these central banks because they won't have endless money to print. And if you can't pay people, too much money ain't rolling in, and these people ain't going to go fight nobody else. And so Bitcoin is a means to a certain end. I don't believe in currency. I don't believe in money. I don't believe in putting things between people and survival. And that's not an anti-capitalist approach. That's an understanding that they'll never give you capitalism. You can fight for it all you want. They will never give you free market fair play. You got a good old boy network, an owner ruler class, and they only survive by making everybody slaves. But if you want to end war, like your thing, like Jonathan and I were talking about that yesterday, my position has always been anti-war, anti-abuse, anti-violence, anti-slavery. If you're involved in any of those things, you can go to hell. I'm not going to vote for you. You're not going to cheer for you. You're not going to clap for you. You're not going to share anything for you. So once you have the blockchain of Bitcoin, and this is what I think the United States Incorporated is fearful of, like the British Incorporated, the City of London, the Bank of England, Canadian central bankers, the Russian central bankers, is that they don't have the ability to force you into war. They don't have the ability to force you into prideful fur, keeping you artificially scarce so you will do anything for a biscuit. So I like Bitcoin because of the blockchain, right? The inability for them to regulate it. And so that's why, who they put at the chair of the Fed, which is like a puppet because the Fed is an internationally owned corporation, Janet Yellen. And one of her first initiatives that somebody mentioned, I think Kaiser mentioned, or Kaiser's co-host mentioned this morning, is that to regulate Bitcoin. Whatever they do first, that's where you want to look. And they need to regulate Bitcoin to keep the wars going. They can't continue to colonize and invade nations. Spears will remain ineffective as long as you can keep throwing bodies and money at colonization and war and theft and looting. So I like Bitcoin. I do. It's weird that it's like it takes $20,000 to get one. I'm gonna have if I ever invest in it. I'm not. And so yeah, some multi-level something going on there, but I'm not invested in it. It just, to me, it makes sense. If you want to stop world wars, if you want to stop, because it's just economic hitmen invasions, Bitcoin is a means to an end. And that's why they want to regulate it. If they can control it and regulate and create Bitcoin-ish, then they can control it like a fiat. But they'll have some reason, excuse. Janet Yellen, she'll start to yelling about something about, the black market and child trafficking and whatever, something. We need to regulate it because of the dark web or something. They'll make up some lies to regulate it because everything is about control. It's not about currency. Currency is just a shackle. It's about control. Anyway, good morning. Oh, look at that. Tracy here from Ireland. How's Ireland? Hi. Goodness gracious. I'm going to mess up my Ireland accent. I don't even have one. Hey, Peter, good morning. Who's that? Tony Crystal's in the house. Kim Hale. Jonathan. Oh, Jonathan, you posted something this morning. I got a pop-up. Something about you posted something just happened. What just happened? Not like sound like it was important. Much love. Tony Paterno is in the house. Good morning. Jade is in the house. Grand rising. Every rising grad. Rebecca in the house with the crocodiles and down in Florida where people live free and walk free. Oh, Rebecca, I was watching something this morning. They said that people migrating to Florida. And that tied me into a something a guy from Texas said on the Rogan show, and that is, he said that, you know, come on to Texas, we love you, come on baby, we love you, but you need to leave the bullshizzle, that the reason why you're migrating in California. Because I think Rogan was in California, right? He was in LA. Then he moved to Texas, and they said, welcome to Texas, but you're migrating for a reason. You are escaping. You are an immigrant from California for a damn reason. Leave your philosophies there. Don't bring that bullshit over here. And somebody else, Rebecca, said this morning, said, Florida filling up, it's like a cup overflowing, just all kind of monkeys falling over the edge. Everybody trying to race to Florida. Everybody's trying to race to the freest states. Are y'all getting that? The most liberating places to go, the places where you can actually do work without a colonizer governor, somebody being controlled by who knows what at the highest levels, to shut down societies, break the middle class, and do the largest transfers of wealth in human history. I was watching Russia Today for about 30 seconds. I want to start watching Russia Today again. It's just so hard because when I start hearing bullshit, it's like, I got other things I got to do. But I started watching it. And I found it interesting that the Russians all had on face diapers, and the Iranians on the other side, I think they had, I'm not sure if they had face diapers or not, all the people on the stage behind them. And I was thinking, I said, you know what? You probably can tell who's sold out by who's wearing face diapers at the government, and it's not a government. These are just corporations. They are all for-profit corporations, and they're just providing governing services for big industries and bankers. And the monkeys in the countries don't know this. But at the top, they all got a uniform. They're all these masked villains. I think if you look up and if the supposed head of your governing corporation has on a face diaper, they're all getting payroll. They're all getting paid from the same place. They're all getting paid to play, and they're playing. And part of that play is artificial scarcity, you know, and that's how that's always worked. Hey, Rebecca, but that's what I heard this morning. A whole bunch of people migrating to Florida. Go and migrate, people, but leave that bullshizzle from whence you came. If you need to leave where you are at because it's a slave plantation, and you can't have people at your house at Thanksgiving, Christmas, and Valentine's Day is coming, you know, oh, Lord have mercy. I was just, oh, good Lord, Valentine's Day just popped in my head. If you were fleeing a state that started to make body condoms and safe chocolate, and you got a government that you would never want to shake hands with, just old and wrinkled, and they want to show you how to kiss. Here are safe ways of kissing. Oh, speaking of, I got trivia. Who is the highest paid politician in the United States Incorporated? Jeopardy. The highest paid politician in the United States Incorporated is a wholly owned subsidiary of the Bank of England. I give you a hint. In a mafia, usually you pay the ones that make you the most money. Y'all really don't know. Good Lord have mercy. Fauci, F-O-U-L-C-H-I, makes $470-something thousand a year. Fauci, because he's foul, making big money. Nope, not Palopo. I have to change the names, Barbara, because if I say the names, and you know, it keys on the algorithms, and they start not demonetizing, but lowering the view of videos. Why do y'all think that they pay him that much money? Usually, if you're making the most money, you're the one doing most of the dirt. That's just how my mind works. I'm not from the world most of y'all are from. I'm from a world where I just look at the money. Economics makes those decisions. It makes the decisions on the street, and it makes the decisions in mafias. Governments don't exist anymore. You don't have one. They're just for-profit corporations. They're all bankrupt, and they're all doing what very quiet globalists are telling them. And you can tell who they are because they all got on face diapers. They're all marching to the beat of the Pied Piper. It was like when the NOTSEEs came through, they all had that then they had like the arm thing. They all got that, you know, if anybody knew. Always got to mention for the new people because they have no idea where to start or where to begin. There is a global scamdemic going on. It has to do with cardiovascular disease, poisoning the people. In America, they killed 400,000 people. Well, they didn't kill 400,000 people. They let 400,000 people kill themselves with their diet and lifestyles by not allowing truthful information to reach the surface of the clotting caused by sugar, obesity, cardiovascular disease, diabetes, all work together and create clotting that will kill you with this thing that came through. So no, they didn't kill 400,000 people. They just let 400,000 people die. And I think we should do something about it. That's my take on it. I think we probably should do something about it. It's not anything new. They do this every single year. They always do it. It's just they let more people die this year by deleting science, censoring it, which is part of why I got to delete my Twitter today. Y'all didn't kill too many people. Too much blood on your hands. You got to go. I can't mess with you. Hey, Sandra, good morning. Ancient love. Yes, always. And love is always the answer, Lynn. Question doesn't matter. Love is always the answer. Good morning, Song Renee. Am I supposed to delete you? I think I'm supposed to delete you. I think you did something. Didn't you do something? That name is familiar. You did something, didn't you? Yeah, you did. You were like laughing at a face app or something. I might delete you today. I'm not going to delete you. Hey, Christine. Hello, folks. Welcome to the plantation. We're on a plantation, Tony Paterno. Who are the most dangerous people on the plantation? There's a good question. We are on a plantation. That's the beautiful thing about coming out that fur closet, that prideful, having pride in your fur, the identity given to you by the people who claim to own you, that you want to keep being prideful in. That prideful fur that puts you in a group and locks your intellect into groupthink where you can't defy the plantation. All you can do is support it by fighting other slaves on the plantation. Once you know you're on a plantation, Tony, you got to act like it, you know, and I think most people here know that. You know, you can't defy the plantation unless you know you're a slave. Not what Harriet Tubman said. I always love going back to her quote. Said, I freed thousands of slaves. I could have freed thousands and more if only they knew they were slaves. And most people here, Tony, have no idea. They're still out there cheering their master, voting, clapping, dancing, and singing. United States slaves, America. It is. And Tony, and we're once again, we are slaves only in, because I say it, because you makes you start to realize where we're at. We are less than slaves. Slaves have universal health care. The master cares about the slave's teeth so they can crunch up the biscuits and swallow that sugar. And I'm literally shoveling dirt. Yo, Jonathan, why are you shoveling dirt? What's going on? Y'all digging in? Getting ready for World War IV? What are we up to? 4, 5, something like that? He's out there in France. Fun fact, Twilight Zone. Remember making the Twilight Zone? One of the darkest shows on TV. You know where that came from? I don't know if Jonathan, they get Twilight Zone in French. In France, I said French. It was French and France. Put that together, you got French. I don't know if they had Twilight Zone in France, Jonathan, but the author, the story writer behind Twilight Zone created some of the darkest stories, like Alfred Hitchcock type stuff. He got that from war. He served in, I forgot if it was World War I or II, but the things he saw created this massive amount of PTSD, and he channeled that to create the show Twilight Zone, which is crazy. War shouldn't exist anymore. War only exists, Jonathan, as you know, for the few at the top. Gardening Gerard. Jonathan is gardening Shirley. I think, oh, is he? Okay. All right, that's good. He's not out in that street no more, fighting with him, out there fighting. I mean, I appreciate the Yellow Vest, and I think that they got a good message because they have unity going on. But you got to take days off and garden and kind of do human things too. You can't always defy the plantation. And in my country, Lori, I posted it this morning. I want somebody to tag me when the Proud Boys, Antifa, or Black Lives Matter, when they start paying y'all legal fees for protesting, because a whole bunch of people got prison records. A lot of people went to prison. Some people died. Other people got broken jaws and arm and doctor bills and legal bills fighting the court system. Let me know when they help y'all out with the with those bills. Let me know. Somebody tag me when Black Lives Matter takes that some of that $100 million and starts helping people that they got in the street. A political organization. All of it's politics. All of it is giving people pride and fur and getting young people to go fight wars for people trying to retire. See, they're going to retire on that money. They're going to retire on your blood in the street fighting with other slaves instead of defying the slave plantation. That's how this works. If you can scam people into following you to do something that's completely useless that the plantation wants. Plantations love the slaves to fight amongst themselves. That's how they keep their power. All right. Facebook suggested I garden the other day, so nah, I'm good. Nicole, you need to guard. I'm sorry. Facebook, a broken clock is right twice a day. And Facebook says you need to garden. That's one thing you can trust on Facebook. You know, strong people can take care of themselves. It's the weak people that need to go to Master for rice and beans and biscuits. And Master always has a cost. It's weak people that go to Master for the stimulus. And that stimulus always comes with a scam. Good morning, Barbara Peters. Good morning. Good morning, everybody. You sound like Barry Gibb. Do I song, Renee? Well, you're a singer, I assume. And I'm not a singer, so I don't know who Barry Gibb is. Good morning, Daniel Santiago on YouTube. Look at that. One love. You know, they're stealing that baby's breast milk. Love waking up to you singing. Oh, look at that. Look at the love. Look at Barbara Peters waking up to me singing. That's why you ain't never going to get deleted. I appreciate you giving a brother love while the rest of these people. But I know it's really not singing. I love listening to the lyrics of songs when they're really good songs. There's something about music. Barbara, that takes me back to the Big Bang and all the culture said that, you know, civilization began with the song, a trumpet, a Big Bang, a vibration, God's word, right? And to me, this is why I think all the religions all go back to some one root faith. And that's another thing. They get people prideful in the religions. The kings and lords modified the text, modified the religions, giving you dogma, and then go give you somebody to fight. The psychologists, they identified that a long time ago. Identity is how you break people, how you ruin people, how you get them to no longer search for themselves, and you can attach them to a group, and then you own their intellect at that point. Hey, Sarah, good morning. Have to go to the plantation. Yeah. And that needs to stop, Heather. Nobody should be working on plantations no more. Big girls don't cry. No, do they? Oh, no, they do. They sing. I don't know if they cry, Jennifer, but they sing. And the fat girl ain't sing. Not yet. Not yet. So y'all need to slow down with that celebrating. They're all excited. Just like, yay, Twitter, yes, they're fighting misinformation. Please don't ever go to the plantation information source for anything that's going to help you fight the plantation. Gibb had a bit better voice and pitch. Just saying. BG is Gibb Gerard. Also the Bee Gees? Okay. I didn't know he was with the Bee Gees. Staying alive, staying alive, staying alive. We all gonna die. All right. Ain't heard no fat lady singing yet. There ain't no fat lady singing because the Trump people lining up to come for you in another 4 years. I didn't get that memo. How do you get into the chat box? Oh, the link. You just go over to the website, Jonathan. If you go over to the website, I'm gonna always read those chats. That's a priority chat, Jonathan. That's only for the supremacists. That's the privileged chat room because it's not on Facebook, YouTube, or any of these other ones. Anybody who comments over there, their comment will always be there and it'll always be read. And it'll be some fun things eventually, Jonathan. You weren't here. I kind of like that chat software because you can post images. I think you can be able to post an image there, a GIF. No face apps. It doesn't work. It bans face. I don't know. Face apps might work, but you should be able to do voice clips eventually. Not yet, but it's something I'm testing out. I'm trying to figure out how to make this a bit more accurate. Like I love it when people come around who feel that they stand on solid ground enough to defy reality. You know, I don't debate with people, but I give them information. And so sometimes people don't want to do a panel, but they'll give you a 30-second clip as to why they think that you're wrong. And I want to encourage that as much as possible, because like I've said before, there's a reason they don't let people who are informed on television. They don't let them on the plantations news because they tell you real things. They need everybody in a little selected bull chisel areas, not a larger conversation, right? And so I'm trying to make it more interactive for a larger conversation, the exact opposite of what Twitter's doing. See, they want to put people in isolated groups because that's how you get people to be prideful in their fur. And that's the exact opposite of where the planet needs to go. Our planet needs to be to go to globalization in terms of us all talking to each other. We're one big 7 billion member family from around this planet who are all cousins, who are all being played by corporations that are pretending to be governments. And we need to circle together and talk about that reality. But they don't want that. They need to divide everybody up. What's up, Christine? I do want to look at RT. I really want to look at RT today, but my patience is limited. Daniel, good morning. He's so fine. Yeah. Who's fine, Jennifer? They know. Oh, the give guy. Yep. They know that we know that they don't care. They win. They know that we know, and they don't care. They win. And that's interesting, Tony, is they largely don't care. They largely don't care. And that should bother people. Here you go right there. IamHumanX.com or /chat. That's how you get into the chat room. I think I posted a few things out there this morning. I think the Max Kaiser things. Oh my goodness, the Chris Hedges thing. Oh, Lord have mercy. We might need to look at Chris Hedges today. He said some very powerful things this morning. I posted out there. I have to go to my timeline to get it. Oh my gosh, he did a good, let's say 10-minute breakdown. And once again, coming out the closet, the Pridefur. Let me go on over here real quick. He had two amazing quotes. I think I made memes of them this morning. Chris Hedges used to work in the prison system, right? And oh, Lord have mercy. Is that, oh, no, right, that's right. Okay. And so he knows an awful lot. Uh-oh. Nope, wrong button. Share, right there, share. He can see through the matrix when it comes to mass incarceration. And let me go down. He was talking about Jive and Bowden this morning. Here you go. There you go right there. Oh, look at that. We got a bunch of shares this morning. People know what's going on. This is what time it is. I guess you can't see that. It's a little too small. But he says, a poor person of color on the streets of Camden, New Jersey is worth nothing to the state. So they put them behind bars because they're worth $40,000 to $50,000 a year to prison contractors. Slavery. You know, and he said that from a perspective of Camden, New Jersey, but it's the same thing for the Appalachian Mountains, same thing for a trailer park, same for poor white communities, same thing for poor immigrants, same thing for Hispanics, same thing for Asians. If you are just playing basketball, living your life, hanging out on the corner, it doesn't benefit them. They don't make no money off of it. You're not out there slaving on a plantation. So what do? They create the crime bill. Right. This is why Jim Crow Joe did that. He did that because you are profitable in prison. You're not profitable being free out on the street. And people don't want to accept that. But this is the reality of the situation. You're going to make them money one way or another, whether that's you go to work on a slave plantation or you sit in a box in a cage because you were selling green things that help people not die of cardiovascular disease. And that's okay. Because we only did this temporary to get rid of Donald Trump, and soon we're going to have Kamala. And that's why Kamala, as a DA, did everything she could to remove DNA evidence to keep poor people in prison who were there unjustly. You will make money for the system. This is about slavery. It doesn't matter who your president is. The Rothschilds and Rockefellers decide. And their decision is every slave on that plantation will be productive or you will die. Chris Hedges, he was nailing it. He was nailing it this morning. We are an empire in decline. And ain't nobody in no United States Incorporated, Washington, fighting slavery, helping people. We are in a colony, people. All right. So, yeah, we could look at that. Oh, that was deep. It was beyond deep. He did a great talk this morning. He had another quote, too. Robert, where's my face diaper? I got it, Robert. I'm in slavery. I got it. They told me I can't wear my bandana a certain place. Like, no, you need to have a certified face diaper. Do not get me down that road, Robert, because it's gonna make me cuss. I'm still pissed off by the movie theaters doing that. I will never go to that. AMC can kiss my, you know what? AMC, is anybody working at AMC? Look at this right here, right here. Here's my paperwork. That's AMC. That's right there, right there. That's my paperwork. That shows my doctor's note that I ain't got to wear no face diaper to stop. You can go all the way to hell. I will never buy AMC ticket, movie theater, anything, ever again. They made me wear a face diaper, Robert. And the only reason I stayed because I was with my kids. See, now you got me mad. Let me move on. I'm sorry. Bang, bang. Oh, what did you do the other day? You did so. Oh, I know what he did. You know what, Robert? If you don't follow Robert, you should. I had to send that image that you did yesterday. I had to send that to somebody who texted me this morning. They were talking about Twitter. So I sent them the that image. You did it. I showed it to you. Hold on. Robert's a funny guy. It's a funny. You get it though. You get it once and get down with people that actually get it. Oh, you know what? Let me do this before I jump over to Robert's page. I want to show you this. You got another quote. Another quote this morning from Chris Hedges. He said, "The danger is that this time when we go down, the whole planet goes down with us. The corporate state has made war against critical thinking, and they've been waging war against critical thinking. And this is why you can't have an identity. You can't have a fur. You can't let them play you in that way. If you let them play you, you're going to be in big trouble. Don't ever let anybody play you into an identity. You're not an identity." Robert Walker did something. Did I share it? He always doing something funny. Oh, we didn't talk about the grocery store. Is this the grocery store one? Nope, that's somebody else's grocery store. I was Melly at the grocery store. No, the brother in California who went in the grocery store. I did a watch party on it. There you go, right there. No, that's the one I was going to show you. Slavery. Look at that. Look at that. This is us. This is what we're doing to children. Is it Las Vegas? The school system had to reopen schools because suicides were too high. Imagine that. Imagine that. Does anybody want to ask why I'm not on a team lockdown? Why I was never on team face diaper? Right? A lot of people died. Hell yeah, a lot of people died. And it's interesting that only people who have junk food diets died. Right? And those people, they still, a lot of them made it. They fought it off. You know, if you try to defy nature and put trash in your body, you're only going to get trash out of your immune system. Doing this to children because you want to eat Fritos for breakfast is ignorant. Now I'm going to take the picture off because, you know, as good as that is, Robert, it's going to piss me off. And I try to stay light in the morning. I don't like when y'all abuse children. I hate that. I make it bigger so you can see it very clearly. I can't really look at it because then I'm going to cuss. Shame on you. Shame on you for doing that to children. Shame on you for siding with people to do that because you don't want to eat vegetables and kale and healthy things in the morning. All right, today my phone stayed on Facebook. I don't know why that is. It's evil. It's evil. No, it's not. No, not the angry face people. No angry faces. Happy faces. Happy, happy. No, happy or just the thumbs up. Let's not do the angry face because that bring the flying monkeys and they, oh, what is he saying? He's saying something. We got to shut the video off. What is he talking about? That's why I try not to touch cuckoo virus no more. That's banned. Helping people is not allowed on these public platforms anymore. You can't tell people healthy things that help them to not die from whatever the hell is going on out here. I feel particularly irritated this morning. Teeth clenched. Why, Jackie? What's going on? Oh, you just Jackie is down the street. It's because it's snowing, girl. That's why. You're supposed to clench your teeth. It's getting windy and nasty out there. All right, no fires here. Lots of laughter, but about 7.5 chem snow. Ooh, and the high mountains here. Daniel. Oh my God, isn't that a thing? We forgot about the glyphosate snow. We used to go outside as kids, Daniel. That's why I hate their world. And we used to open our mouths like, oh, it's snowing and it's a Saturday. We don't have to go to slavery. Oh, enjoying life. Can't do that now. That's glyphosate. That'll kill you. Same people saving grandmama putting glyphosate in the damn everywhere in the ecosystem is in the snow. It's in the snow and the rain. It boggles my mind why people. You know what? I appreciate how Brother Ed says it. He said the government's poisoning you. He just said it real flat out and blank. They're poisoning you. The government's poisoning you, right? Why don't people get that? Why the hell don't people get that they're poisoning you? No, but we need to listen to them. No, idiot. Love you, but they're poisoning you. And they've been doing it your entire lifetime. Start DDT, all of these things that trust the science. Remember they trust the science on DDT? How'd that go? Remember trust the science on cigarettes? Remember the doctors came up, I smoke menthol coals. You know, this is the healthiest way to start my day. All the commercials, yeah, that was healthy too. That would trust the science on that one. They used to trust science. Asbestos. Remember asbestos? Remember we had to trust science on that one? And they used to make babies, teddy bears, and blankets out of asbestos because they won't catch on fire when the house burned down. Trust the science on that one too. And they get doctors out in front. This is why Fauci is the highest paid United States incorporated person ever. Because if you can control the healer, the one who's supposed to be the authority, and you got this whole ask your doctor, trust your doctor bullshit going on from the plantation media, then people will trust it. And they'll go with it. When I was a kid, Daniel, we used to run and chase the DDT truck. They used to come around the corner to spray for mosquitoes. My friends and I, we could smell that from a mile away. Damn it, it's time old guy outside to go outside and get that sweet scent. We out there running behind the mosquito truck. Trust the science on that one too. Don't ever trust the science, y'all. It's a slave plantation, all right? They don't ever do nothing for you. Glyphosate ball fights are fun. Tony, what's wrong with you, man? No, they're not. Sometimes every now and then you get somebody kid in the eye or something or the ear, and that snow get the melting in your ear, the glyphosate get in your ear. Now you got cancer in your ear, and the government subsidized. You literally paid the government, and they took your tax dollars. They paid farmers to grow glyphosate, got the aquifers, evaporated, got in the clouds, dripped down, and then kid get hit in the ear with a glyphosate snowball, and now they're dying of cancer. That's how crazy this time is. The government is literally poisoning you because it's not a government. It's like come out the closet time, Tony, and that's why it's such a beautiful thing. It's so obvious. Only the people who don't want to see can't see it anymore. These people are not on your side. I think it's so obvious, Tony, they want people to fix the system. That's what I think. I think that to a degree, the employees of these governing corporations are making it so obvious that people have to stand up, that they are against us in every single way possible. My God, people. Hey, glyphosate snowballs, that's a good example. We made snow ice cream. Yes, you did, Yvonne, but you did not make snow ice cream with glyphosate snow. Hopefully you didn't. Then also you had to go for the white snow. Don't go for that brown snow and stay the hell away from the yellow snow. That'll boost your immune system, but that's only if you don't die. Oh, that was fun, Yvonne. I remember, yeah, because my father got the ice cream machine and it had the little top thing. I could see it in my head. We go out there and get that clean, fresh snow off the roof, bring it in, make the ice. Good times. Good times. This is what we all should be doing all the damn time. But yeah, we went on the roof. Yeah. There was wolves all in our neighborhood. They're running everywhere. And some wolves, sometimes when you drink enough water, you will pee clear. All right, let you know that. Just to let y'all know, if you got yellow pee, you're going to die. You should not have yellow pee. It could be off-colored or clear, but you should not be. If you peeing all kind, that's your body trying to get rid of stuff. You need to drink at least a gallon of water a day. But you had very healthy wolves in my neighborhood. And so if it was a healthy wolf and you got the snow from the healthy wolf, then you probably end up with the cuckoo. Possibly. I don't know. Gerard, please send me the picture of the children lined up on in the day. All right, Jade, it's on my profile, Jade Evans. It's on my profile. And it's on Robert Walker's profile, too. I want to give him credit for that. He posted it, and it was powerful. I put it on Instagram. But go out to Robert Walker. If y'all don't follow Robert Walker, you should. Man-made snow has suffered. Ooh, surfactants. What the hell is man-made snow in it, you know? What makes soap slippery? Slippery snow out there. Yeah, okay. I don't know where the surfactant is, Rebecca, but that don't sound healthy. Don't sound organic, gluten-free, cage-free, or anything that I want in me. All right, what's this? You guys have to watch the video I shared. Oh, what in the world? What? World Economic Forum had to say today. We all gonna die for real. Thanks, Jonathan, for the video. Oh, that's what he was talking about, because I saw y'all talking this morning. That's what just happened. Oh, let's go on over. Let's take a field trip. Y'all take a field trip? Let's take a field trip over to Jonathan's page. We're going on a field trip. We're going on a field trip. And nobody's wearing face diapers. Jonathan. Coco. Out here in the garden. So was it that powerful and deep? Don't send us over there if it's not powerful and deep. I like powerful and deep stuff. 10 degrees in Montana. Is that normal, Ann? Shame on us for remaining silent. Shame on us, Adam Dingle. Shame on us. But the good thing about shame, Adam, as you know, is shame brings change when people are willing to swallow it, right? And that's the only reason why I'm different. Like I'm kind of in defiance, Adam Dingle, to everybody I grew up around, even my family. I call them ignorant at the turn of every dime and coin and text message because they're a part of the problem. But that's the good thing about shame is you like, you know what? Damn it, I get it. Now I get it. I am a part of the problem. I'm feeding into the system, and I shouldn't be doing that, right? But the shame is what does it. Shame is a very empowering emotion, but you're only going to get from people who are truly passionate about the words that come out their mouth. You're not going to get that from the fools. Where are we looking at? Where are we looking at, Hogo? Hold on. Conscious Network Live, is that it? Let me share it right here. What was that noise? There you go again. Sound like somebody shooting. Goodness gracious. People getting ready. I don't know what's going on out there, but probably shouldn't live in a state that people got to learn how to shoot better. Get a little more accurate. All right, we're on Hogo's page. World Economic Forum, where is that at? One World Way, what is it called? World Economic Forum had to say today. What did they say? They said they're going to love us and feed grandma, saving grandma, and stop the United States Incorporated and other governing corporations from creating artificial scarcity because slavery makes too much money. Is this it? Great Reset, World Economic Forum. Is this it right here? Derek Bo. Oh, that's 3 hours. Man, I watch that. Is it 3 hours? Y'all got like a timestamp or something? I ain't gonna watch. I'm gonna listen to it. I got nothing else to do. Is it the whole damn thing? Is this it?
Economic Forum's marketing plan, essentially a repackaging of a lot of the same ideas that they've been pushing for quite some time. They being the parasitic class, as Derek Bros refers to them, people that want to control other people's lives.
Yeah, I get that. We'll skip through. We'll just do a few stops. So yeah, I mean, you shouldn't have a World Economic Forum, right? If international trade is always about slavery, enslaving other people because you get cheap resources from them or cheap minerals, or when they put together cheap products, that's that whole East India Trading Company bullshit. So that's that colonization globalist. You should not have world economics. Until everybody locally has what they need, you shouldn't be getting involved in that bullshit. So yeah, and it is all about control. You know, but people here, they like smartphones and they pretend they don't like slavery, but they're fine with the slaves that make the smartphone elsewhere. So you shouldn't have global trade. You should not have a TPP. All of these things are just slavery. That's all they are, right? People who say buy local, they end up buying international. You know, we got a real problem with China right now. China! Not the people in China, but the government, right? I mean, they're trained. I saw something this morning. They're like working with Canada military. The Chinese military is working with the Canadian military. We're back to the liberal side, which is two sides of the same damn coin. And so, and they're not even liberal. They're just the left. But they love China. Like they love cheap products. They love slavery. So TPP 2.0 is coming. And that's all about getting cheap products because people here are fine with cheap cotton. More slavery. You should not have a world economics. You shouldn't have world economics until you have everything local, right? If we want to get through this nonsense that the governing corporation just did and destroyed the middle class, you basically need to ban imports. You should not be working on no TPP to create more cheap slavery products because one, it hurts the people in China and Africa and the places who want to be free and have their own governments. They can't because you're buying cheap products that those slaves are working to make. So they can't make their own products because they can't compete with your currency value over here. And then you got people over here who want to have small businesses and they can't because they can't sell to you because they can't compete with the cheap products that are coming in from over there. It's all slavery. So yeah, you shouldn't have no World Economic Forum. That's crazy.
This is an acronym, SMART, sustainability, monitoring, assessing, rating, and tracking you.
I don't know what that is, but that ain't smart. That's it. I think she spelled it wrong. That's DUMB. The only thing that's got to track you, monitor you, AU and RU and TU and whatever she just said is just slave master. That's all slavery. This is, I guess it does sound like they're hitting stuff. She's talking about Agenda 21. That's slavery 21.
GIGA, the Children's Universal Connectivity Project, has digitalized more during 10 weeks of COVID than in the last 10 years. For this, they need 5G. And for that, they need decentralized energy production. That enables digitalized experimentation and spying on large populations without their consent or knowledge.
Right. We'll move forward because that is slavery. If you can spy on people, that means you can control your slaves.
Back from my activism and focused on my family and some entrepreneurship. And I always felt content knowing, because I had this little tension and anxiety where I was like, I need to be doing more for the cause of freedom. But I thought, like, I got to take care of my family and make some money. And I feel okay because Derek Brose's message is so on point, and he is out there just knocking some haymakers, just knocking it out of the park all the time.
Well, real talk with John Bush, because, you know, telling the truth, ain't no money in that. And it's funny how ignorant people get to fighting over that. Like, oh, yeah, the activists are doing this because they're making money. Ain't no money in telling the truth. There's only money in picking a side and lying. That's where the money comes from. If you pick Proud Boys and get out there and lie, you'll make some money. You pick Black Lives Matter, get out there and lie and make some money. Antifa, as long as you pick a side, the left, the right, the Democrats, Republicans, that's where the money's at. I can make a whole lot of money right now. I can make a whole lot of money if I chose to. You know, I'm not here to do this to make money. So he's right. And this is why you got to look out for people who do these things, because who are actually, if one of these people out here, you know, they're telling the truth and you think they're giving you a truthful, unpopular message, you got to back them up. Because, yeah, these people got to eat. They got to buy biscuits and rice. They got families and cars and things. You know, we do to a degree got to use the system, get rid of the system. You got to make money to get rid of money. You got to engage in the plantation before you can put together enough coins and kerosene to burn down the plantation. So he's right on that. I'm gonna skip through. Woo, somebody just clapped. Let's go back. They clapping for somebody.
Down in Morelia, there's all sorts of folks in Central Texas that are already building their intentional communities. New Hampshire, the Free State Project has intentional communities and eco villages. And tell you what, if your career, you're based in the city, you know what? Let's build that network of people that get each other's back within the city as well, right?
Absolutely. I'm gonna skip past. I want to get to the clapping part, but right, you know, so I like it so far, right? They're talking solutions. They're talking about the root problems. They're talking about slavery and monitoring people. And now they're talking about how do you get away? Well, you can build the world that you want. You just got to go do it. You can't be lazy. And you don't actually have to leave. You can work with other people leaving, right? You can stay in the city. You can work. You can make big money, because that's where the big money comes from, is the concrete jungles, working for master, closer to the slave plantation. And then you send money to people who are going off grid and building communities for you. You can build your whole new world. You just got to be smart enough, and you got to be smart enough to know that you got to do that. And you got to actually give a damn enough to want to end slavery. This system is a system. It collapses when you stop believing in it.
3.
If you don't like their world, go build your own world. You're about to sing.
Let's get one more in. 1, 2, 3.
Oh, he's breathing, or he's farting.
We have people tuned in all around the world right now, working to manifest a better reality than what we are facing. And this has been just a beautiful journey that I've been on the last 11 years to get to this point, and wherever we're going after this. I mean, I just want to say thanks first to everybody here, from our friend Ceci, who is local, support her, buy her food, to all of the volunteers, everybody who helped to volunteer to make this happen. This is a completely volunteer.
Absolutely agree. Everything buy local, everything buy local. Buy from the people closest to you. Do not buy anything unless you have to. If it comes from over 50 miles away, start your business, sell to things to people who are only within 50 miles. That's how you break the back of the slave plantation. The people who run this thing globally are at a level where they got to make billions and millions and trillions of dollars. All right. Poor folk, regular folk, middle class folk, they can't buy, and they shouldn't buy from 3, 4, 5 states and towns and regions over. Buy local. That's how you defy the system. If the system needs you to buy from people in China, you shouldn't buy a damn thing from people in China. And nobody in China should buy a damn thing from anybody in America. That's how you collapse the system.
As a child, and tell them that I felt like that was acceptable and that I didn't do anything. I can't tell them that I did nothing. I sat by and I watched things get crazier. I watched these systems grow, and I chose to participate in them instead of finding a way to exit from them, to opt out from them.
Good word, brother. He's talking about his kids. And I think about that as well, right? It's like the children of the Nazis looking back, they're hiding the paraphernalia, right? They're hiding the emblems and realizing, oh, my grandfather was involved in this. My grandmother was involved in face diapers and lockdowns and globalism and slavery. You know, and this is the reality. There are people who give a damn and people who don't. Your ancestors going to look down at you and your Facebook posts and your comments, because none of that's going anywhere. All that stuff is backed up and it's going to be served up one day, 2 generations in the future. Your kids are going to go back, your great grandkids, and see what did great granddaddy support. Great granddaddy supported the Rockefellers and the Rothschilds when the world almost fell into global slavery after they killed almost 1 million people with a bioweapon. You know, and so the thing is, people say, hey, I'd do anything for my children. Will you grow the F up for your children? Will you defy the slave master for your children? Will you lay down the sword for the other slaves because you don't like them because they got white skin or because they got black skin or because they're immigrants? Will you do that because they're in a different political party, because they were indoctrinated a different way in a different location to become a different person? Are you going to continue to hold that against them? Or are you going to actually prioritize your children and their freedom more than the ignorant things that you can buy because you're ignorant today, because you got a nice house, because you work for the United States Incorporated, because you work for the banks, because you like buying their slave-made goods while you pretend that you're against slavery because you like virtue signaling? You know, there are people who actually love their children, and then there's people who are faking the funk. Please don't be somebody who fakes the funk. This actually sounds pretty good. I'm gonna skip ahead. You can't do the 4 hours, but it looks like they've got great content.
R and Pirate Chain and some of these other cryptos.
Okay, yeah, R is kind of the new kid on the block as far as privacy cryptos go. The crypto is similar to Zcash, and
I'm not going to do too much on that. We actually just talked about Bitcoin. So you know what's funny about this? People from all over the world who don't even come in contact with each other and have never met. I don't know any of these people. I've never watched any of their videos. They all come to the same conclusion. We were just talking about Bitcoin and digital currency this morning, right? Any currency that isn't defiant to the slave master plantation, which is usually your governing corporations, don't regulate. That's what you should do. It's not about Bitcoin. It's about having a currency that the king does not control. If your kings and lords and the people oppressing you do not control that currency, it's a good idea. I particularly like Bitcoin at this point in time. Why? Because the only way they oppress you is because you give them your energy. What is your energy? Is your time. Right? And what is your time represented as? Currency. So they take that currency and they oppress you with it and they enslave other people with it. So absolutely. Anything you can do to defy them. That's another great way to defy them. Build your own community, buy local, and switch your currency over to something else. All this started with the banks. All of this started with the Rothschilds, right? The Rockefellers came later, but the Rothschilds cronied up currency. And so they were able to enslave the planet by printing money for the kings. Well, not printing money, but setting up the banking, the central banking system for the kings. And I'm pushing my memory back to the early Rothschild video, where they didn't have to erase debt every 7 years. I believe that's how that worked out. They were a part of a religion, or a sect of a religion, that didn't have to erase debt, so that you could have permanent debt. So at that point, they controlled the king's currency, and they could perpetually increase debt and increase debt. And money, currency, is all about debt. It's not about the money, it's about the debt. You make the money, and that's the positive side. But how they control you is they give you the debt at birth. You're born in the kingdom, and they attach debt to you that you don't owe. So you got to go out and make money, make the currency to pay back something that you never had anything to do with. And that's how they put shackles around the world. And then, of course, that grew into a fiat currencies and printing the money. And now it's not even money, it's just notes. But that is how they enslaved the world. So absolutely, if you want to defy them, you have to stop using their money. You can go barter, you can do anything you want. You can use digital currency that isn't regulated by the colonizers that own the plantation you live on. And there are a bunch of them. I think he was talking about Zcoin.
Full relationships, to know the names and the stories of your neighbors, to feel needed, to eat food grown by somebody you know, to be able to feel free to enact values that don't make sense in terms of quantities of dollars and cents, but that makes sense to the heart when we see how beautiful the results are of, say, growing food in the most ecological and beautiful way, and to see soil recover, and to see birds come back, and to see the water table rise.
I'm on that. And it makes good sense too, right? So he's talking about building community, getting to know your neighbors. Why? Because they're the ones who have to get your back. When the wolves are at the door and the bears show up, it's your neighbors that are going to come save you. So you got to get to know your neighbors again. When I was a kid, we knew all of our neighbors. Nowadays, people don't know each other, and they only live around, they move in 5 years or 10 years, they're gone. Get to know your neighbors. Why? It doesn't matter what they do. It doesn't matter what their religion is. It doesn't matter that you don't like them. They're your neighbor. You got to love them. They got to get your back. You got to get their back. So absolutely. And grow food. Well, why? Well, first of all, strong communities can defy stronger towns and stronger masters and stronger state masters and colonize that at the national level. But then also the food side of it. If somebody's been pissing in your food since you've been born, if somebody's been pissing pesticide in your food, it's no different. And they've been giving you carcinogens, illnesses, and sicknesses and diseases from the very beginning. At some point in time, you need to get food from people people who won't piss poison in your food that gives you carcinogens. Don't go to the people that piss carcinogens in your food through subsidies to save your grandmother. That not only is ignorant, it is stupid. All right. So he's right on that. I'm going to skip ahead a little bit. This actually does look good. I watched all of this. It's called the consciousness resistance. Yeah, we need consciousness
to produce quantities of things, and therefore turn more and more of our human creativity and labor toward the meeting of qualitative needs, toward beauty and healing and life. That is what is possible with what I would like to see as a great reset, where we say, we're done growing. We've reached maturity as a species, physical maturity. It's time to grow in another way. Just like when a teenager reaches 18, 19 years old, maybe, the growth is done. That doesn't mean he stops developing. There's so many other dimensions along which one can develop. But if you have that 18-year-old who's like, gosh, my kid stopped growing, I better give him some growth hormones. That's called economic stimulus. Give him some growth hormones, make sure he keeps growing. Like, that's crazy. It's time for the growth to stop. It's time for growth in energy use, in miles traveled, in automobiles produced. I mean, we don't need more anymore. But
he's hitting consumerism. He's hitting,
Scheme.
Oh Lord, have mercy! I got James. I got Brother James on that. Oh, that's my dog. Oh, that's my homie. So I had to listen to what he's gonna say real quick. But so he's talking about nature and ecosystems, right? Once you start growing food again and building up the ecosystems, because to make all of our houses, which is climate change, we changed the climate in our little area. We destroyed the ecosystem to put up a McMansion. You took out all the life and cut down the trees and all the soil life to bring in clay to build this big ignorant house that you could post on the internet. And you didn't know, but we know. It's start to cultivate it, return the ecosystem, put in a pond. Do things that bring back the butterflies, the birds, the bees, the natural thing. Don't sit back and say, oh, the Green World Economic Forum, they're going to do it. No, they're not going to do it. You have to, you ignorant bastard. You're the one who let them build the house. You paid for it. So grow your own food, build up a healthy ecosystem. So he was nailing at that. And it looks like he started to get onto the cars and consumerism, right? You're not helping anything if you're replacing your cell phone every time you can upgrade. You're not helping nobody if you drive a brand new car. You're the reason the world is burning. That's why I don't get down with climate change. They can say anything they want, but if you're driving a brand new car and you're not a minimalist and you don't live in a tiny house and you're not building and cultivating, you are the problem. And it's that shame that Daniel was talking about that brings people to change, right? Oh, Lord have mercy. I'm scared to death of what James Corbett, James is going to say. James doesn't hold nothing back. If y'all don't follow James Corbett, you should. But I think most of you already did. What is Ivana saying? A woman checking out behind her in the store had a cart full of huge sodas, mini donuts, chips, and huge bucket of ice cream. Sad, exactly. And that's why I don't go to the store, Ivana. I tell them to kiss my butt too. And she probably had on a face diaper, didn't she? Eating everything that causes the clotting in your heart and your lungs and all throughout your body that the government subsidizes as complete poison And then thinking a face diaper and social distancing is going to help you. People who eat for the lack, I was going to cuss. I'm not going to cuss. I'm not going to. Yeah. If you eat trash, your body will perform like trash. That's the end of the story. 400,000 people died, and it was an assisted suicide by government. And either you give a damn or you don't. And you got to help people like that. I think all you can do, Ivana, is you just tell them. And they're not going to want to hear it, but that's all you can do. And that's why I talk about health a lot, because people don't know. I didn't know. I had no damn idea. You told me 20 years ago that food will prevent disease, I would think you were the craziest, stupid person I've ever met. That obviously they don't prevent that. You got a World Health Organization that does that. Yeah, because I worked in the pharmaceutical industry. You got a pharmaceutical industry that's saving grandma. But people don't know. There was a saying that we had back when I was in the church where it said, you don't know how sweet an orange is till you eat it. You have no idea until you're ignorant until you bite into an orange. You don't get to talk about orange. You have no idea what they look like on the inside or how juicy and sweet they are if you pick them at the right moment. Once I realized, Ivana, that if I eat healthy things, I don't actually need a doctor, my whole life changed. Once I realized if I change my lifestyle with that I'll never get sick again, everything changed for me. I used to eat that. I used to be that person. Getting the kids candy and sugar donuts and soda and all of that crap that's killing them, believing that disease is more genetic than ignorant. And I finally realized it's generational ignorance, right? Why do your kids have the diseases your grandmother did that you do? Because you eat what she showed you and you're showing them to eat the same crap. So yeah, it's empowering to actually know. And once you live strong, you'll never go back to it. I catch fire a lot because people say, well, my doctor said. I honestly don't care what your doctor said. Is your doctor healthy? Does your doctor smoke? Is your doctor on drugs? Does your doctor get high on their own supply? Well, if they do, you might want to find another doctor. I have a doctor one day, Ivana, when I ever get sick again, and I meet someone who actually doesn't have the same addiction to drugs that the rest of them do. It's like if you want to open a McDonald's and go kill a bunch of people, you want to be successful. You don't go find somebody failing at McDonald's. Oh, they lost 4-5 franchises. No, you find somebody who actually succeeds at it. If you want to be healthy, you need to go find some healthy people and ask them how. If you're scared of the flu, you're scared of the mucus and snot bubbles and headaches and fever and flu, then you need to go find somebody that doesn't get those things. I haven't had one of those things in over 15 years. I'm healthier now at 29 than I was when I was 15, when I had stem cells activated. Don't be laughing. And the only reason I know is because I stumbled across the right people who told me the right things. So we're all ignorant of a lot of things. But real talk, people are still buying this crap. And the reason government doesn't talk about that, because they subsidize it. Right? You can't control healthy, strong slaves. You can only control weak, sick, ill, and ignorant slaves that you're monitoring, as she was talking about. All right, let's take it back. Corbett, man, Corbett does not play. I want to go back to the beginning. I give everybody a few seconds. Corbett has been on this from the very beginning.
Hey. All right. You'll let me know if I'm going to break up or anything, right? So I'll check the chat for that. Thanks so much for having me here today. This is such an important topic that we're discussing here tonight, as I know you all know. So because it is such a big topic, I want to try to limit it down to something manageable. So I think that on the Greater Reset website, what I'm talking about tonight was billed as something like the power of alternative currencies. I'm going to take a much more manageable and bite-sized approach tonight. I'm going to talk specifically about solutions survival currency. And that's an important distinction that I'm going to make in a minute here. But first, I wanted to start today with a letter that I just uncovered that I think will be very interesting to you. So I'm going to read this letter to you. It's from New United Nations HQ, Consumer Enforcement Division. It's to Winston Smith, and it is dated the 17th of February, 2025. The subject of this letter is revocation of commercial interaction license, and it reads, "Dear consumer, our biometric detection division has confirmed that you participated in the protests at last month's coronation of Hillary Clinton as Supreme Leader of the United States for life. Your case was reviewed by our enforcement personnel, and you were found guilty of unlawful dissent. As a result, all of your financial accounts have been closed, your carbon credit allowance has been frozen, and your consumer participation chip has been deactivated. You have been downgraded from consumer to laborer. As such, you may proceed to the nearest Federal Emergency Management Agency labor camp to receive your work assignment. You will be provided a space in the dormitory and 3 meal credits per day. All hail the new United Nations. Praise be to Secretary General Rothschild." Ha 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 ha. Yeah, ha ha. Funny. Of course, this isn't a real letter. This is something that I wrote back in 2006.
Oh, I got to chime in on that one. No, I'm not going to let him go for a minute. Then we're going to come back and listen to the rest of it. Would they do that? Is that like conspiracy? Or is this the coming out the closet? I refer back to the crime bill. All right. So why did they do that? Why? Because kids make more money in prison. They can make $40,000 to $50,000 a head than playing basketball, being free or doing whatever they're doing. And that's why Jive and Bode and Jim Crow wrote the crime bill. And then he apologized for it. And I'm pretty sure Kamuku, she probably apologized, and the Clintons, everybody, sorry about the crime bill. Oh my God, it just restarted slavery. Ah. Did they change it? Did they change it? You know, it's like a cheating husband. It's like a cheating wife. You can apologize all you want. You go ahead. I'm so sorry, baby. I didn't know. I slipped, fell, and I fell on top of some coochie. I'm so sorry. Oh, Lord have mercy. And he go right back out there on the next day. Right. So did Jim Crow Joe, did they get rid of the crime bill? No. Okay. So obviously, if they don't care about poor kids growing up in destroyed neighborhoods who end up doing something to survive, and they throw them in slavery for life, and they haven't changed anything, will they do that to you? Yeah, I'll let you think about that for a minute. I already know the answer for me. I already know these people don't love me. They don't care for, they don't love children. And I'm like a big child that's not cute no more. I got scraggly face, grays coming out my face. The skin wants to wrinkle at some point in time in the future if I stop eating smoothies. I defy them. What do kids do to Democrats? What do they do to the DNC? Huh? What have they done? What have the little poor white kids, what have they done to the GOP? What have they done? They were born, they were just like, I want to live and have fun and I want to play and buy some G.I. Joes, and you know, and that's all they wanted. And they threw them in prison. They've destroyed their lives. They took them. The biggest pedophile ring in this world is the United States Incorporated and their mass incarceration system. Why? Because they take children and put them in cages with grown men who they've made psychotic by keeping them in prison for life. And what do you think happens to those children? So I'm going to go with Jim Corbett on this one. If they don't give 2 damns about children, they don't give 2 damns about me. Hell yeah, they'll do that. If you haven't watched the Black Mirror, and if you actually are not educated enough to actually, or passionate enough, not educated, I say passionate enough to give a damn about your children and what's coming, if you haven't looked into Agenda 21 and 2030 and all the stuff that they've been doing for the longest time, digital currency, the Banking for All Act, they've been planning this for a very long time. This is not conspiracy. James Corbett is speaking from fact. Please pay attention.
It's just joshing you. New United Nations and some sort of a consumer and enforcement division that's going to be looking at your protest activities and taking you off of the monetary grid as a result of them. Oh, what's crazy, stupid science fiction. Oh, wait. Oh no, this isn't science fiction. Of course, this letter is completely fake, but this letter is very, very real. And I'm going to read this letter to you, which came out on September 4th of 2014 and was addressed to Speedy Cash of Savannah, Inc. by SunTrust. who wrote, SunTrust continuously reviews its products, markets, and client relationships to ensure that we are able to provide the best possible client service while also meeting our corporate business objectives. There are circumstances where we will identify a specific account relationship that no longer meets these criteria. In the best interest of our clients and SunTrust, we will request that those accounts be closed. As a result of a recent account review, we regret to inform you that SunTrust is no longer able to provide some of the financial services you require. We respectfully request that you immediately begin closing all of your SunTrust deposit accounts, safe deposit boxes, and credit cards by October 6th of 2014. If you do not close these accounts by this date, we will need to close them for you and either hold the proceeds until we hear from you or mail you a check for any collected balance, blah, 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 etc., etc. Yes, this is an actual letter that was really sent out from SunTrust Bank to one of their clients, Speedy Cash of Savannah Inc., in 2014 to close their account. But why, you say? Well, actually, that's a funny story. And by funny, I mean horrifying. Namely, the Department of Justice's Operation Choke Point. If you are unfamiliar with Operation Choke Point, I highly suggest you become familiar with that little operation that was perpetrated by the DOJ under Obama. It started as an idea in 2011. It was first revealed to the public in 2013, and it was shut down for good in August of 2017. So nothing to worry about, guys. It's just this completely illegal, totally unconstitutional scheme whereby the DOJ used the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation, which is an independent agency of the US government, guys. Don't worry about it. It's totally independent. It's just that the DOJ used the FDIC and its supervisory role over banks like SunTrust and many, many, many others, all of the banks that participate in the FDIC scheme to insure your savings. Well, they have a supervisory role over those banks. So the DOJ leaned on the FDIC to lean on the banks to pressure them to close the accounts of businesses, completely legal, law-abiding businesses that they didn't like. And an example of those kinds of high-risk activities that the DOJ wanted to essentially outlaw from using banking services included those greasy and undesirable payday lenders, those kind of scammers, and prostitutes, and tobacco shops, and small pharma, not big pharma. They're okay, obviously, but you know, the small kind of pharmaceutical buy cheaper drugs from Canada kind of mail order stuff, online gambling, dating services, coin dealers, ammo dealers. Yes, again, completely 100% legal and law-abiding businesses had their bank accounts closed because the FDIC leaned on their bank to make sure that they closed those accounts. And it was just suggestion. It was just guidance. They were just holding their power over these banks as, oh, we could come in and use our supervisory role to start making changes, or we could put you guys in the naughty books unless you close these accounts. And they did. And this was a huge thing. And it took multiple lawsuits, threatened lawsuits, as well as a congressman who was actively fighting against it for there even to begin to be pushback on this. It wasn't until 2015 that the FDIC said, well, maybe we'll stop doing this. And then by 2017, supposedly they really did. But Operation Choke Point, I did write an article about this that I'll direct you to. It's called Choke Point, How the Government Will Control the Cashless Economy. Again, I wrote that article in 2016. And here we are 5 years later. How much further along the road towards that nightmare vision?
Oh my God, there's so much there. I struggle with even where to start. Oh, good Lord have mercy. Oh God. They control the corporations to control us. And the same way they control those small corporations, how they control us, right? So why are we here? How did we get to a point of the greatest transference of wealth in human history? Is through small corporations, right? Why do small corporations obey the state governments? Well, because they need a business license and they'll take it if they don't obey. So it doesn't matter if you have a Bill of Rights and a Constitution or kids at home to feed, right? They can tell the grocery store, do not let them in unless they got on a face diaper, they social, or don't let them in at all, or shut down, right? Which will drive up the price of food. It'll help Walmart, it'll help Target, it'll help Home Depot, the cronies, right? Because that's really what it's always about, is funneling and siphoning that money to your friends. So the Department of Justice is closing down the ones that they don't like as their friends, right? Everything is always about economics and that 0.01% at the top. And they protect the ones who are just beneath them, and they protect the ones beneath them and the ones beneath them. And the rest is us. Right? So if you can control people by putting money between them and what they need to survive. The same way you control a business, by putting money between them and what they need to survive. Right? And this is how they defy the Constitution and Bill of Rights with the Washington, D.C. Act of 1871, right? It's hard to control people who think they're free. It's easy to control people who are weak and don't know how to grow their own food and got to feed families through those corporations. So in Washington, D.C. in 1871, they created Washington, D.C. It didn't exist. It was an invasion. They created Washington, D.C. They gave it a government. They made it a corporation. And that is what controls the United States colony, right? And so it's a corporation, you can control it because it needs money. It's a for-profit corporation, so you can control it that way. But then they bankrupted it in 1913 and 1933, and then later removing it from the gold standard. We literally have a bankrupt corporation that needs the central banks to print money for them, controlling us, right? That's like having Pookie. Y'all know who Pookie is? That's like having Pookie run a daycare center. Y'all know who Pookie is? Or Ezel. Y'all know Ezel? Do y'all watch black movies at all? You should watch. Let me see. Pookie was on New Jack City, and Ezel was on Friday. Watch the two of them. It's a crackhead, right? Crackhead to do anything you want. If you got the crack, they'll do anything you want. And so you make corporations crackheads. You make people crackheads. And this is why your family and you don't get along, because they're crackheads. They want the money. They want the wealth. They got that retirement, and they're middle class and they got brown skin, but they're fighting white privilege because they got a great retirement coming. So they just beat the drum for the plantation, right? But at the end of the day, they're crackheads because they'll do anything for that crack. And what's the crack? Currency, money, anything that they have a love for that they got to use currency to buy. And so they basically turn the government into a crackhead. And this is where we are. This is why your children need to learn how to shoot guns, drive tanks, drop bombs, and kill people without thinking. Yes, the cute little baby that you got at home with the diaper, and you give little cuddly toys and the furry things that you give to them. Yes, that's going to be a killer. It needs to be a killer for the state. Why? Because you don't have a government. You got a corporation. And where does most of their money come from? Right. So if the ice cream store sells ice cream, when it's got to make money, what's it got to sell? Ice cream. If you got a United States Incorporated and it makes most money through its war, well, what at the top is war, child trafficking, foster care, big pharma, then what are they going to do to make money? Because they're broke and they're a crackhead. They're going to do anything big pharma tells them. This is why you're scared of a virus running around out here. War, that's coming. That's why we're talking about Venezuela, Bolivia. And somebody said, Jive and Bowden, talking about 7 nations or something we're supposed to be invading. Colonization. This is who we are. We are the ice cream store. We are going to continue to make ice cream until the people decide they don't want to do that no more. Right? Choke point. I think that's right. That's right, Kimberly? Operation Choke Point. But these are just facts. And we had somebody new come through the door. Scarlett, she's still around. Hello. Welcome, sister. Good to meet you. I got to warn you. Is that Scarlett? You still here? I like to greet new people and go ahead and give them a disclaimer and a warning. Scarlett Dent. Everybody say good hi. Send her a friend invite. Scarlett, all we do is talk about very truthful things here. And it usually gets us banned from the internet, deleted. We post about law, talk about honest things. You'll probably hear some names that will trigger you. And that's okay, because that is part of our job. Because we got triggered by other people, so we're here to trigger people. So you hear Obama, and you think, oh, we got to check Obama. No, he was a bomber. He bombed children. He's the bad guy, war criminal. You hear Donald Trump name, Donald Trump, and then it triggers some people and other people. We talk about the truth and let the chips fall where they may. So I just want to put that warning right out there. We talk about all the white privilege, black privilege, the white elite, the black elite, American elitism, British elitism, Canada. Like, all we do is talk about truthful things. And a lot of people can't handle that because they're crackheads. They need to hear what they need to hear. Crack is good. Gotta sell mama's TV. Who sold mama TV? That was spooky, right? All right, we talk about true things here at best. Well, true is to the best that we know, Beaufont. I agree with that. We really don't know what's true. True is such a tricky word, right? Because like, who's that? Lori getting on me above. She said, well, you're not 29. You're not 29. That's not true, Gerard. We got to talk about age truth. I'm like, first of all, what is age? That's another thing, Scarlett, that we talk about. People talk about me because they don't think I'm 29. First of all, number one, what is age? Who defines age? I like to go Morpheus every now and then. Who defines age? Are you breathing age through your nostrils? Who's to say that age, when the planet goes around the sun? Damn it, what is true? Is the planet actually going around the sun? Is it flat? Is it some turtles? Is the earth rolling on it? We don't know these things, people. I've never been to space. I don't know none of that. But I would tell you what I understand. And what I understand is women been lying to men since the beginning of time. And this is why Lori has an issue with my age of 29. Because they know if they can manifest 29 like skin, 29 like age, 29 like immune systems, they can outlive their ignorant husbands. And that's what they've been doing. So I'm not going along with it. I understand how that works now. So from now on, I'm 29 till I die. I will be healthy and strong to the end. I know I see somebody laughing, and it's funny because I see y'all posting about these husbands and boyfriends and all of these things, and it's just like, you know what? I hope you die. And it's easier just to pretend I'm 29, tell you that you're 70 and you're fat and you're out of shape and you got cardiovascular problems because I'm sick of you. You won't take the trash out. All right, so no, I'm 29 forever. So yeah, it's true-ish. I'll give both on that. We don't know what's true. So if anybody, and that's the other thing, Scarlett, nobody follows me. They'll say, you run into other people online. They'll be like, yeah, Gerard has a cult. I don't have a cult. These people don't like me. These people just show up here in case I say wrong things. Nobody follows me. And anybody who does follow me is ignorant. Don't follow them. They're a fool. I don't know anything. I'm a dude. Right, I'm a dude with children, and I think we need to build a better world for those children and stop listening to the ignorant people who enslave us to build a new normal for them. That's where I get down. All right. I'm holding 39. Okay, look at that. Go on, Jade. Do you like older women, G? Whoa, good Lord. Jade, this is not a dating site. What's going on? What, you got a friend or something? I'm 29. It's better to be 29. 29, because your stem cells are still, they're not activated, but they're still doing good things. 29 was picked for a specific reason. I don't know why. All right. Who is this? Hey, all right, what are we doing? Are we going to listen to the rest of James Corbett, or y'all want to hear Chris Hedges? Corbett is he's telling the truth. Corbett probably is the best way to get somebody up to speed, right? If someone doesn't know what's going on in the world and they like look lost and they're like walking around the store with a face diaper on, looking for Purell, you need to send them to James Corbett. Now, somebody clapping, dancing, cheering, jiving, boating. No. Send them to James Corbett. James will get you up to speed. Probably the best James video. Am I still talking to Scar? She probably out of it. Did you hear me talk bad about Obama and Run? I can't tell. I'm like looking and I don't see, although we can't really like look at somebody's skin color no more and tell if they worship Obama or if they worship the Bushes or if they worship the Trumps, because everything's so mixed up now. That's why it's a good thing to like to pursue truth. We probably never get there. But his best video, James Corbett, was how big oil bought, stole, looted, grabbed, smacked somebody in the face and stole the planet. And that's roughly the name of his video. That's the best one to watch. How big oil, somebody will post it, robbed the planet. How big oil pulled a crackhead scheme And so it'll explain how the world works. It works on economics. Most people think it works on politics. That's bullshizzle. That's the illusion that they gave us to keep the slave plantation. All right. I think Scarlett might be gone. So there we go. Backup got interrupted. Do we need to do, what's the name? Why does this bother us? We shouldn't be we shouldn't be participating in the social economic system as it is. This is a good thing. Example, this thing has to fail successfully. And that's another thing, is we make jokes about your world burning. That's the bad part. You just want to retire on slavery and just kind of do good things and pretend you're good and virtue signal. And we say, no, that we shouldn't be participating in any of it. It's not just the economic systems. We literally should not be on Facebook. We shouldn't be on their ISPs. We shouldn't be on their networks. I shouldn't be drinking their coffee, but I am drinking from a cup that my friend made with his hands, right? You know, we shouldn't be participating. We shouldn't be on their power. We shouldn't be, as long as you are using master's products, the master is empowered. You know, and then so we laugh at it. And that's a good thing too, Beaufont, about keeping us humble, right? There is no scale in terms of selling out. We've all sold out. We've all sold out. And that's a good thing because none of us can judge. I kind of want to go to Hedges real quick, but let's let's skip around. I'm not going to do the rest of Corbett. I'm sure it was awesome and fantastic and stupidlicious, delicious, and all of that great stuff. But if we don't talk about the root problems, we will never get to root solutions. And most of everything that happens in this world is about getting people to discuss side effects, because it's profitable to keep people focused on side effects than actually dealing with the root problem. If we can get, and I don't think anyone really completely knows all the root problems. I think that we get close to it. But the more we talk about it, the closer we get to an actual root solution that fixes everything, instead of feeding into the system the way that they want it to, the way they want us to. Ron was kind of harsh. I tried to play that. But he got deleted. I think he got deleted from Facebook. I think we can dance around it. What was I looking at this morning? So Canada trains Chinese troops. That's interesting. Why? Yeah, Texas. They're saying, come to Texas, believe the bullshizzle in the state that you came from, because your state collapsed because you believed in bullshizzle. We don't. If you come to Texas, leave your ignorance at home. We love you. Welcome to Texas. Speak the language, which is freedom. The reason we don't have the problems here is because we're free and we didn't give government all that power, and we have guns. So that was a Texas one. That was Rogan. Pakistan mining Bitcoin. And so we talked about Bitcoin. That was pretty good. Where's Ron Paul at? Bitcoin is a great way to defy a war engine that needs endless money, and that's printed. Ooh, this is the one. We're gonna watch Hedges real quick. Little piece of it. He just drops truth bombs, and when he blew that up, he's explaining to you who Jiving Bowden is, and this is why I call him Jiving Bowden, because he's always jiving. He's always got some jive. His whole career is about putting children in prison. That's what it's always been about, supporting the legal system in any way possible, helping domestic violence become an industry. But the VAWA Act, he was the one that I started on when I read that law. I used to talk about that all the time. Let me bring in Hedges real quick. Look at how the world works, accept the shame that we all have for participating in it, and then we need to change our behavior and stop participating in it, and stop being psychopaths in these American psychosis that Chris Hedges is about to explain to you.
Death, the struggle with our own mortality, the search for a life of meaning, love, the capacity for transformation. Those forces are ones that make us stop and become introspective and think and look within ourselves to see who we are and where we're going. And that's what any totalitarian state seeks to crush. And yet we kind of blissfully have checked out.
American psychosis.
Most people have no concept of how fragile their environment is. I think you have to have, as I have done, live in societies that collapse to realize how quickly they go down and how fragile they are. And so there's a kind of emotional incapacity to understand collapse, even when it's facing you. I spent 20 years outside the United States, and I had covered as a foreign correspondent totalitarian cultures, everything from the East German Stasi state to Slobodan Milosevic's Serbia. So I know how totalitarian systems work. I know the kind of dark emotions they evoke. I know the mechanisms they use to shut down dissent. And when I came back, it was utterly apparent that the country had gone collectively insane in a very frightening way. Not only their misunderstanding of the wider world, something as a foreign correspondent I was very cognizant of, but their misunderstanding of who they were and where they were going.
Zombies, clones, they're just following, just doing what they're told. Good slaves.
The nature of illusion is that it's designed, at least at the moment, to make you feel good about yourself, about your country, about where you're going. In that sense, it functions like a drug. Those who question that illusion are challenged not so much for the veracity of what they say, but for puncturing those feelings. Attempt to get up and question where we're going and who we are. And the critique will be that you're such a pessimist, that you're such a cynic, that you're not an optimist. Optimism becomes a kind of disease. It's what created the financial meltdown, where you have this kind of cheerful optimism in the face of utter catastrophe, and you plow forward based on an optimism that is no longer rooted in reality. If hope becomes something that you express through illusion, then it's not hope, it's fantasy.
It's not hope, it's fantasy. When he first said that, I almost crashed the car. I was like, oh my God, Chris Hedges got away with words. That man just drops bombs. If you're living in illusion, it's not hope, it's a fantasy. Good examples. Tony Paterno just posted about cuckoo virus. Right? If you are not dealing with the actual root reason why your immune system doesn't fight off disease, you are going to die. You are living a fantasy. If you are in bed with the corporations and the politicians that subsidize the products that make your immune system fail, eventually you're going to die, right? Don't live the fantasy that you can wear a face diaper and social distance, and you're not going to. This ecosystem will kill you, all right? You're living a fantasy. If you think that you're going to, oh, goodness, why I always have to do this one because of my skin color. But if you're living an illusion that you're going to get your 40 acres and a mule, you've lost your freaking mind. Not a white person in this country with any common damn sense will let you go get 40 acres, and they were a part of the system you were a part of, and they were no less a slave to it. Right? And this is what we started talking about earlier that people don't like. Say, oh, well, you know, one race enslaved another race. That's not what happened. You had 2% landowners who paid for the poor to go get some slaves from another coastline. They got to that coastline and they got a lot of help. And besides the fact that they all came from slavery to begin with, from the Corsair pirates in North Africa, but that's history. Ain't nobody gonna stand by while you get 40 acres and a mule. That's ignorant. The American breakdown is 16 acres and a John Deere tractor. They'll go for that. They'll go for that. But that's why I don't get on those narratives, because it's bullshit. This is all that Chinese finger trap, right? And anytime, and here's the default, anytime colonizers, which is DNC and GOP, get together and they tell you something, or even if they don't, it's always bullshit. It's a Chinese finger trap. Why? Because they go on one side and they get these people to pull this way, go on the other side, get those people to pull that way. And the more you pull, the tighter the trap gets. You'll never get out of that trap, and your kids will be chattel slaves to the trap because you can't figure out what they're doing to you. It's controlled opposition that maintains the plantation. To me, the answer for everything is land, right? You get the land, you can grow food, you can drink water, you can have some cows, chickens, feed your family, do whatever the hell you want. But you don't have to be a part of their system. You don't even need banks and money. You can live and survive. And we have to go back to humans having their own ecosystem. The only way you're going to get there is if everybody agrees that you don't let them give you a opposition to fight against, so they don't have to give anybody anything. So that's number one. But once again, it fits with his point, right? It is a fantasy that you have that people are going to let you have 40 acres and a mule, 16 acres and a John Deere tractor, and we could all have that tomorrow. But if you're ignorant and you want to go along what they're doing, then they're going to have you defy them, and you'll never get anywhere. Your children will be slaves like we are, probably even worse. Illusion versus reality, fantasy versus real hope.
The cult of the self is, in biblical terms, a form of idolatry. Everything is about you. Whether it's the worship of power or money, it all goes back to the self. It all goes back to creating little monuments to yourself. All investment into a particular goal of self-aggrandizement is a kind of pathetic attempt at self-exaltation in a kind of maybe even subconscious way at immortality. We have replicated the patterns that past civilizations in collapse underwent. An elite that is no longer connected with the real, that retreats into their bubbles like the Forbidden City or Versailles, and yet has total economic and political power. The crumbling of infrastructure, civilizations always decay, their cities go first, we've already done that. The retreat into illusion. The danger is that this time when we go down, the whole planet's going to go with us. The corporate state has made a war against critical thinking, and in particular the humanities, because the humanities at their best are about teaching people how to think rather than what to think. They're about teaching people to challenge assumptions and structures. The discipline of the humanities is subversive. It's meant to be subversive.
Oh, we'll pause right there. We'll pause. We're going to hit land. I try to let people drive the conversation more than me rolling with it. Beaufort says something about land. So you can't own land without violence. That is how this started in the first place. And he's right about that. And that's actually why they create races. Like that's if you're having trouble with people, hard time with people with another race, they made race. Maryland and Virginia made it under the king's consent to divide people up after Bacon's rebellion, to keep them from coming together, the labor class, and take the land back. So, and I agree with that too. You can't own land. It's a bad idea to own land. I like the word steward better. Anytime I say own land, get the land back, I'm talking about stewarding the land. You can't actually own land. It's an ignorant concept, right? It's a Garden of Eden. The monkeys need it. The birds need it. The bees need it. The wasps need it. They all need a piece of that. And it needs to be an ecosystem that's stewarded, not land that's owned and dominated. That makes you the king. It makes you the colonizer. Now you're colonizing and dominating land that you own. You know, but I like the idea of stewardship. This is the land that you were stewarding. You were stewarding these 16 acres. You were cultivating. You get classes in cultivation, how to take care of things, how not to put glyphosate in the water, how to grow natural, organic, fresh food without ignorant things like pesticides and GMOs. No, you do not need those for enhanced production. You need what's called a ecosystem in the soil and above. And you teach people how to do that. And I think somebody said, Kimberly said later now, because I mean, there are real problems when it comes to that. You know, land is important. However, when they manipulate the water upstream and do fracking and poison the water supply, you can't grow pure food. We are independent. And so this is the thing, Kimberly, where it comes to education, right? You want to educate people in how ecosystems work, how to cultivate and take care of the land and be stewards of it. But then again, at the end of the day, too, we have to accept what happens, too, when it comes to that, right? Like I believe in if you take care of people and you cultivate people to be beautiful people from children up, they want to do the right thing. They just don't know what the right thing is. But we have to accept at the end of the day that some people are going to do the wrong thing. And when they do that, it's me personally, Kimberly, that I accept that, you know. So first of all, you know, the whole fracking, that's for corporations, right? That's in this idea of the whole energy paradigm. That's a good idea to keep the Rockefeller oil companies at the top. And I don't like that. You know, a neighbor upstream that is stewarding 16 acres, I don't think will have any interest in fracking, but I could be wrong. And if they do, then they do. We, to a degree, have to go back to learning to trust each other. I don't like abuse. And this is what I'm getting to, Kimberly. I don't like the idea that because I don't like what someone else does, that I can go to a colonizer. I can go to a rule by violence and force corporation pretending to govern and force my neighbor to do something that I want them to do. I mean, we have to all work together. And I think maybe in that example, Kimberly, it may not matter, because if you're working together as a small community, you're buying local, you're selling local, you're working together, that farmer is buying food and trading food with you. They're not going to want to put carcinogens in the water. I think a lot of our concepts don't work anymore because we can't think about things in the way things used to be, because we don't live even close to how they used to be. I think when you're a small community, everybody tends to work together a lot more than what we have today. So I think a lot of the problems go away when we take them out of this control world, right? And this is where I think, Kimberly, principles help. Because if we accept the principle that I can't make you do anything because I'm not right, that you are a sovereign, and we live in a small community, you're going to want to do the right things because you're affected by doing the wrong things like everybody else is. I want to get past this idea of rule by force and governing, right? And it's called anarchy. You know, most anarchy, or anarchy as a concept, is a peaceful concept of you can't abuse anybody else, right? But then that includes the mice, the birds, the deer, all the things that the ecosystem needs. And I think the other thing too, Kimberly, taking the idea of giving the 16 acres back to people, they cultivate beautiful kids, right? Kids grow up, kids love animals growing up. Kids love nature growing up by default. And yeah, we got some psychopathic indoctrination problems we'll probably deal with if we give the land back, in which we, of course, we can do that any day we choose to. In a generation, it's all gone. In a generation, you've got kids who were cultivated on beautiful farms by beautiful people trying to do beautiful things, and all the psychosis of what we gave children intentionally, the system gave them, will be gone. So back to Saj Guru, in terms of, are there any good or bad people? There aren't any good or bad people. There's just people and environment. And if you give them a good environment, they oscillate more in the good. If you give them a daycare center, kindergarten, they got to go get a job, learn to color. Coloring outside the lines is bad. To get a job, to work for 20,000 different slave plantations, then they're going to oscillate more in the bad. They're going to have a stressful life. They're going to take Prozac and Xanax. They're going to eat a lot of sugar to make themselves feel better because they hate their life and their job. And then the cuckoo virus is going to kill everybody. And then the world will come to the alien to an end, because the alien's going to come and zap everybody, because we are too busy being in conflict with each other for a thing that has no value called money, to buy things that we can't take with us called consumerism and stickers. And instead of just going back to living peaceful lives, raising peaceful children, and evolving in a peaceful direction.
The other thing that the failure to think critically does is it creates a very frightening historical amnesia. So you don't know how you got here. You don't know where you came from. And again, that is something that popular culture, let's call it totalitarian capitalism, seeks to put in place so that people interpret their problems as personal problems rather than political or social problems. When you don't understand what's going on, when you imbibe the illusion that you're fed, the belief that reality is never an impediment to what you desire, that you can have everything you want, that blinds you. It keeps you from seeing what's happening around you. Then because
blinded intentionally. This gets back to the point from earlier. And this is a conglomerate of knowledge that my friends have helped me with. And we've come to this agreement, I think, mostly. And that is, we used to have stomachs like predators, right? The only monster on the planet is the human being, because it has an endless stomach called a bank account. It can shove the entire world. It can burn the entire world to shove the entire world of resources and products in it. And so everybody's basically fighting to get as much as they can, to burn up the earth as much as possible, to steal and loot as much as they can, and shove it in a bank account. Predators aren't monsters. A grizzly bear is not a monster. A short-faced bear is not a monster. It's 50 feet tall, but it's not, or no, 24 feet tall. They're not monsters. They only got stomachs. They can only eat as much as their stomach will allow. And what Chris is talking about there is, if you have an endless stomach called a bank account, you can shove the entire world in that. But if all you have is a stomach, then all you can do is eat enough to feed yourself, and then you got to share with others. You know, and this is where creating environment to make beautiful people who want to share instead of this whole mine, 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 mine. You're taking my stuff. Give me my stuff back. And that's what Beaufont was talking about in terms of owning land. You shouldn't own land. You know, we're all a part of a whole, and we have to act like we're part of a whole, and it involves sharing.
Because you are intellectually and emotionally unprepared, you scream for moral renewal and a new savior and a demagogue and vengeance. And at that point, you vomit it up, these very frightening figures. So the lunatic fringe of our political establishment, which is often laughed at by even a majority of the populace, in moments like that suddenly seizes power. You can oftentimes, in moments of breakdown, have a society clamor for their own enslavement. The cost that we're paying is that the forces arrayed against us are going to kill us. Unfettered, unregulated capitalism is a revolutionary force, as Karl Marx understood. It exploits everything. Everything becomes a commodity.
Oh,
Human
Lord,
beings
is it butt
become
cheeks?
commodities. The natural world becomes a commodity that it exploits until exhaustion or collapse. And that's why the environmental crisis is intimately twinned with the economic crisis.
I'm trying to eat my food.
40% of the summer Arctic sea ice melts.
I'm sorry, that's a good example. I mean, they had on clothes and stuff, but that's a great example. Like, why would you do? Hang on, I'm gonna go back. I need to put that on black. Who in the world would want to raise children to do something like this? Like, look at this. Does this look normal to you? Is this like normal human behavior? Like what they're doing? And I know, you know, some of y'all, you know, love the American flag. I get that, but no, I don't get that. Honestly, I don't. I like what George Carlin said. Symbols are for the symbol-minded, right? The same way they carry around crests and on battlefields for the ruling families. Every flag on this planet is a logo for a corporation, right? It is an allegiance, a slave brand for ownership. Why would you want to raise a child that has anything other than its own self tattooed on itself? Like, that's just ignorant. I'm trying to eat a Save Grandmama breakfast, and I look up. I'm listening to Chris Hedges, and I see booty cheeks. I'm eating quinoa. You gotta eat healthy things. You can talk about it, but you got to talk about it, and you got to be about it, right? And so what Jasmine posted, where's Jasmine at? She posted about 16 acres. It's not really 16 acres. That's just broken down into America. You know, it's more than that. If you talk about like globally, how much land that every child on this planet is owed, it's probably thousands of acres. I think someone else did a statistic a while ago when they broke down how many acres of land there is. And that's assuming we share the land. You also have the ocean. You know, part of one of my bucket list, Jasmine, is to live in a houseboat. You know, we could build cities on the ocean if we wanted to. We don't have to live on land and keep murdering and killing each other for resources on the land. We could live out in the ocean. The Venus Project was a good example of that. I like Jacques Fresco's idea of living on the ocean. There's so many smart things we could do, but we got to stop listening to the ignorant psychopaths creating psychopathic societies to create psychopathic people to be in conflict with each other instead of building a better future for their children.
Commodities, the natural world becomes a commodity that it exploits until exhaustion.
They're just commodities.
And that's why the environmental crisis is intimately twinned with the economic crisis. 40% of the summer Arctic sea ice melts. And that becomes a business opportunity for Shell that's up there dropping $500 million drill bits down into the Arctic Sea. It's insane. When societies reach the kind of end stage, the language they use to describe their own economic and political and social and cultural reality bears no resemblance to that reality, which is where we are. The language of free market, laissez-faire capitalism is what they feed business students and the wider public, but it is an ideology that bears absolutely no resemblance to the reality, and that gets back to the fact of living in a kind of culture warped by pervasive illusion and self-delusion. Totalitarian societies by their nature are hypermasculine cultures and seek to banish empathy. They not only ignore the vulnerable and the weak, but they ridicule them and persecute them. They celebrate supposed values of force, strength, violence, and empathy is seen as weakness.
Yep, and Kimberly, and that's why. Kimberly said we moved back from the U.S., from Japan, and I noticed so many people have flags on their houses. When I left in 1994, I didn't see any flags except on Memorial Day. And the reason why is because people are scared to be alone. People are scared to not being in a gang. People are scared. And so because they're scared, but we all came from cultures who were relatively anti-government, anti-establishment, anti-banking. Like, this is the history of America. We were not these ignorant, enslaving people cheering for the United States Incorporated, right? We really didn't like the idea of flags. I mean, America got started. They say, yeah, it got started on wait down. No, it didn't. It got started on a concept of leave me the hell alone. This is my land. I'm gonna live free. I'm sick of the whole European breakdown in terms of the kings rule everything. And I want to have my own land to do my own damn thing. I want to have my own religion. And your influence is not as salted or appreciated, right? And so it somehow is being merged from living free, owning your own land or stewarding it, however you want to put it, to being enslaved to the king's crest again. Somebody tell me the difference. I mean, Kimberly, that's what I see. And we all came from people who, really didn't like the government too much. They didn't like the whole idea of enslavement, to people who are proud to paint their bodies in flags, to make children to do that because they're scared to be alone, right? And it's just like, it's weird to me, Kimberly, because I don't really see any difference between racism, tribalism, nationalism, religionism. It's all people that it seems to be that are scared to stand on their own, right? These are all the identities that break people. If they give you an identity, they can control you. They give you something to worship. They give you a symbol. They can make you symbol-minded, and people don't seem to realize that the Rothschilds, Rockefellers, and a few other families own this nation. They own that flag. And the more you worship it, the more that you are a slave to them.
I mean, in a free market society, all of those companies like Goldman Sachs would have gone into bankruptcy.
Yeah.
But we don't live in a so-called free market. We live in
It's
a kind of
capitalism.
bizarre species of corporate socialism.
Mm-hmm. And that's the point. And you'll never have capitalism. And usually the people cheering the flag are like, capitalism! You've never had capitalism ever in your life. The people who own all of this will never give you capitalism. It's called equality. When you're in a free market society, the price of everything drops every year. The price of cars, houses. You can't make billionaires that way. You can't keep trillionaire families that way. That's called fair play. You will never have capitalism. You'll never have socialism or communism in any of those forms. And those are the forms that are debated popularly. Why? Because the trillionaire families love that. They own the currencies. They own the nations and the lands. You can have any form of government they want you to have, and they're still going to control it because their form of government is cronyism. It's us versus them. The only struggle's ever been against the haves and have-nots, and they have it all, right? The only new entity to that might be corporations. You've got the haves, their corporations and industries, and the have-nots. And they control us through their corporations and their industries. We have to work for them, we have to buy from them, or we die, right? What's that, Brother John? Patriotism is the last refuge of scoundrels, and it is. And so is fighting racism, and so is racism, and so is tribalism. All of the isms, they all go back to this last fight, this struggle and fear. So you got to group up with other people in your ism, look past what is true, ignore any solution to fix anything because you're scared and you got to be with a group of people. John, I think we used to come from powerful people who were independent and they didn't give two damns who stood with them. They said what was true and they stood on it. They were able to critically think, find a root problem, employ a root solution, and not worry about like the whole fighting over side effect bullcrap, right? I think we came from people who the ecosystems were trying to kill them. The wolves were working together and hunting them. So you had to critically think or you died. And now we become people who join in groups, and we think we're not suffering from groupthink when we join up in groups.
So in the end process of decayed states, you have forces in essence cannibalizing the state itself, which is where we are. I mean, a poor person of color on the streets of Camden, New Jersey are worth nothing to the state. Put them behind bars, they're worth $40,000 or $50,000 a year to prison contractors and food service companies and phone card companies. And that is something that is very real, but often not even understood by the victims themselves.
Right. And that's why they voted for Job and Biden. Some of them, not all of them. You know, Trump doubled his black vote. And he didn't double it because I think he was helping black people. I mean, he did some people who were in prison, but he doubled his black vote because a lot of black folk figured it out. They realized, wait a minute. So you've been calling him racist for 4 years, and you now want me to vote for the man behind the crime bill, which is basically a brown genocide? That's what that was. Because they realized that all these kids on the street in Chicago, DC, when that's where I grew up, you know, Atlanta, all over, that those kids weren't profitable to billionaires. So they came up with this war on drugs and this crime bill and excuses to take them and make people who they thought were worthless profitable. That's just slavery. Job and Biden did that. He wrote the crime bill. It was the most systemically racist law of our time, right? But people don't get that, you know, and that is the problem is they watch that damn television. And that's the only way I know how to tell people when I get to that point. I just say, turn off the damn television. It's making you ignorant and stupid. Because the people who are most affected by this are running to their oppressors for help. And they're not going to help you. They're going to write more systemically racist laws. And that's what he's doing. All right. He's now saying no stimulus unless you get the jab, as they're calling it. It'll be sexy, too. They'll find somebody in Hollywood to do a movie about the jab. They'll find some hip hop artists and gangster rappers to do some songs about the jab, get the jab, be safe. Right. And it's just another Tuskegee experiment. I can't, you know, and I mention these damn text messages I get every day. It drives me crazy how lost a lot of people in my family are. Right. They're believing of it. When you watch TV, it literally brainwashes you. There's something in that signal that makes people embrace their enslavement. It makes them want to be the house slave and embrace their masters. And it boggles my mind how powerful it is. Some of the smartest people I've ever known are embracing of the modern chattel slavery because they think that they're somehow fighting white supremacists with the people who created the KKK and work with the other political party that keeps oppression going.
Totalitarian societies seek to funnel all intellectual and emotional energy into spectacle, into the Super Bowl, into celebrity saga. It's why the Nazi Party made sure every single household got a free radio. And now you sit there and watch Basketball Wives. You see Jay-Z's crib and how many cars he has. And it's the great kind of pacifier.
Oh my God, does that sound familiar to anybody? I just heard that the second time. I didn't know that. So Hitler made sure everybody had a radio. Why? Because that's how they control you. They control you through their signals and the information that they put. You can now see the whole world through their devices so they can control your reality by showing the bits and pieces of the world they want to show you. Anybody remember Obama's cell phone plan? Uh-oh. Forgot about that one? Yeah, you vote for me, I get you a cell phone, right? And now the whole world is through these devices. And this is why, to me, I agree with the book. What was it called? The Fourth Reich. The United States Incorporated is the Fourth Reich. They're doing everything that the Nazis did, and people can't see it. They're literally NOTSEE. They did the same thing. You know, people say the internet's going down. No, not today, not yet. No, right now, this is their shackle. This is their chain. This is how they keep people happy slaves. This is how they keep them attached. This is how they get them scared of the cuckoo virus and all this other nonsense that they have going on. They're not going to sever that internet. They need that internet. That's how they keep people chained to ignorance. Shut it off. Shut it off until they want to shut it off. And when they want to shut it off, that's when you need to be heavy on social media. Then that's when you know people are waking up.
I wrote a book called Empire of Illusion, The End of Literacy and the Triumph of Spectacle, which is about the danger of unplugging yourself from a print-based culture. So I actively resist the attempts by popular culture, which of course is largely dominated by for-profit corporations, to give me a language by which I speak and an understanding of the world.
And I'm in right there. I'll post a link, watch the whole thing. I'm going to skip over to something else real quick. Defy everything for profit. Because at the end of the day, everything for profit and everything they give you is for profit. Defy anything for profit. It is not a government. A corporation can govern, but it's not going to govern in your interest. It's going to govern in the interest of profit. Anything for profit exists only for profit, not to help you. The DNC is a for-profit organization. The Republicans are a for-profit organization, and those with the most money will dictate to them what they will do, when they'll do it, how long they'll do it. And that's why he said what he said. He defies looking at the media because the only thing they're going to tell you is what brings profit. Eating kale is not profitable. Eating lettuce is not profitable. Growing your own and telling your government, I have no interest in what you're doing until you give me the land back. I'm a human being. I only exist on an ecosystem. And until you want to give the ecosystems back, instead of to the oil companies, the fracking companies, the billionaires and pharmaceutical industry and defense contractors, until you actually do right by me, I'm going to have no interest. I'm not going to be involved in anything you want to do. And I'm going to defy anything that's for profit. And that was my issue with for-profit healthcare. It's not healthcare. It's disease management. You literally give people diseases to make money. Those companies have no interest in curing you. Their job is their job is for you to be sick so they make profit. But I don't know why people get that. Don't get it. It's all about profit. The purpose of a thing, an entity, is what that purpose will, is what the purpose it will serve. And that's not the people, that's profit, which makes the people commodities. All right, I think the beginning of Ron was pretty decent. Watch the beginning, I'm gonna go.
Hello, everybody, and thank you for tuning in to the Liberty Report. With me today is Daniel McAdams, our co-host. Daniel, good to see you.
How are you this morning, Dr. Paul?
Doing well, thank you. All doing everything just like it's supposed to go.
Happy Monday, yes.
But it's still early in the day.
Yeah, that's true.
So we'll learn a lot during the day, a lot of the big things going on. You do know we have a new president.
Yeah, we do.
But he's trying to gain authority or notoriety. I don't know which one he's working on. But things have changed. I mean, in a way, though, if you weren't paying a lot of attention like we do, you'd say, if you're just a casual observer, say, hey, things are looking pretty good.
Yeah.
COVID is gone, and people, they're opening up again. The country's come to life again, and Washington D.C. is secure.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Keeping the troops there, not just for the riot that didn't come, but just for the future.
Yeah.
They're going to keep it there. There's a trial coming up. It
Yeah.
might be controversial. I understand they're trying to impeach somebody that's not in office. I wonder if they're allowed to do that.
They'll elect him again so they can impeach him again.
Yeah. Well, anyway, they do it, but they keep people on their toes. But we asked the question, maybe there's some changes, which on the surface we look at, there's some of the things we believe in.
Yeah.
Open up. And is this magic? Is this just a political stunt? Or what has caused this? So it's people look at this and they say, well, maybe this is something good, but too often it's really misleading.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what it said, because all of a sudden, and I think you have proof of this,
Mm-hmm.
this is you guaranteed me this was true, that there were some people who were saying this, and then the next day they did something else, as if overnight it changed. But the one thing that when you read those headlines, we can't go too far on bragging that they're coming our way, because I think it is a benefit, because they're going in the right direction. But the whole thing is when you read between the line, It's a little bit of baby steps.
Yeah.
You know, what you want to do is something like, if you're serious about it, you look for leadership maybe from the governor of Florida. Just do it.
Yeah.
Or the way the governor of South Dakota handled it. Just legalize liberty and let them take care of their problem. And this is an argument I made for years, is that if you go toward a free society, you really don't have to worry about the details of what people do and how they do it. Things get better. The economy gets better. The people are happier. There's less violence. But today we live with a society where the government becomes the most violent. Yeah. And, you know, there's a big stink about who's telling the truth, and we have to have censors and all this. But, you know, one thing, I wonder what they'd say if they knew about my poster in my office, the bumper sticker, and say, you know, don't steal. Government might not like that. They don't like
the old saying, right? Don't steal because government doesn't like. I remember that. When I used to follow Doc. Yeah, in fact, Ron Paul used to have that when it was on his desk, and I remember that. That's the first time I heard that. Don't steal because the government doesn't like competition. Going to thieves for help. A couple things that he said there, right? So he talked about a free society. Free society is a peaceful society. It's the only peaceful society. Why? Because adults want to be free. Human beings are sovereign creatures who want to be free at their core. If you enslave them, they're going to become violent. This goes back to jiving, voting, and the crime bill, right? You know, why are the police so violent? Well, because the government is so big, right? People don't like to be controlled. They don't like to be told what to do. And they're control freaks at the top. They want to tell people what to do, and they want to micromanage every aspect of your life. And so people get violent because they don't tend to like that sort of thing. Same thing with the kids on the street. So why are the police out there fighting with children? Well, because the children are fighting them. And why are the children fighting them? Because somebody wrote a bill to send grown men to poor communities to go arrest as many children as possible. And somehow y'all decided it was a good idea to make him the president. That's number one. Two, it's the most violent government in the history of the world. Why? Because it's an empire. An empire requires a police state. If you're micromanaging the lives of 300 million adults, you got to have a lot of police. You got to have a lot of cages. They got to have guns. You got to have flash bangs and riot gear and shields and all that. Because once again, people don't like to be micromanaged. Try to micromanage a woman from New York and see what happens to you. I tried it. I got out before she killed me. You can't micromanage people, you know, and that's why we're the most violent government on the planet. And that's part of why we're colonizing and we're blowing up nations pretending we're fighting terrorism, because we're trying to control everybody else for the central bankers, the Rothschilds and Rockefellers. And those people don't like that. So the indigenous tend to shoot spears and throw arrows back at us because they don't want to be controlled. But that's why we're the violent government in the world, because people here can't seem to figure it out.
Like the competition.
Micromanagement is not a good idea.
Probably over the top.
You'll get fact checked.
But it's funny,
not governing, it's slavery.
To a way. So maybe they'll leave us alone on that. Say it is true. That's one thing, though. There's a lot of truth in there, and the reason I use it, I think it engulfs everything. Because everything government does is with force and theft and guns.
Yeah.
They have to take stuff and pass it out. It's all political. So even this stunt, well, we better not say stunt. Whatever is going on right now, things look like they're doing it a little bit better. They probably, a few people think, oh, hey, this is it. It is going to get better. But of course, we argued the case if they'd have done a lot less, would have all been a lot better. The states, which you have said many times on this program, the states that had the least amount of regulation had the least amount of penalties, economic penalties and social penalties. And the results were medically no worse, and sometimes a lot less worse. That people were better off.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting. You know, we agreed last night that we wanted to talk about this idea that somehow Biden cured COVID, because the news is just good news all over the place. Only a couple of days after he was inaugurated. And is it magic? Well, we woke up this morning to Jeff Tucker had a good piece, and he was actually thinking the same way we were. And he has a piece up on AIER.com, I think it is, with a similar theme. But he asked a question.
Before he goes there, the assisted suicide of over 400,000 people because you hated the president. That's what just happened.
Science and politics really line up so well? And that's a question we had. But we want to look at what we're talking about because we were noticing the headlines over the past week. And let's look at the first clip. DC Mayor Muriel Bowser, partial indoor dining can restart on Friday. This is just 2 days after the inauguration. Let's look next at the next one. Indoor dining expected to be allowed in Chicago starting Saturday, 1 day later. Let's do one more. Let's do a couple more, actually. Gretchen Whitmer, who shut the state down and wouldn't even let you buy some seeds for your garden. She eases Michigan restaurant restrictions 2 days after Joe Biden inauguration. Let's do one more. Oh my goodness, Gavin Newsom, gruesome Newsom. In a huge step, California governor will lift stay-at-home orders across the state. That's brand new news today. Let's keep going. There's three more that we're going to look at in this section just to show. USC's record single-day drop in COVID hospitalizations in Bloomberg. That's on the 22nd. And this is a dramatic, and this is people put this up on Twitter. Here's a dramatic way that the media is buying into this, Dr. Paul. And, hey, maybe it's just honest reporting, but it looks interesting. Here's a look at the next one. This is from NPR, the pulse of the deep state. Okay, here is the 19th, the day before the inauguration. As death rate accelerates, U.S. records 400,000 lives lost to the coronavirus. Doom and gloom, it sounds terrible. Let's do the next clip. Just 2 days later, 1 day after the inauguration, current deadly U.S. coronavirus surge has peaked, researchers say. So we're laughing, but it's not funny. But you do see this.
It's not funny.
Also,
it's not funny. And you got a lot of ignorant people who are cheering the assisted suicide of 400,000 people, and they're making it obvious. They don't really give two damns. They didn't care. They don't care so much that they're making it so obvious now that this was all political. It didn't start that way. I think it started out as something else, but they took it and they used disaster capitalism to let people keep dying. I'm going to go back to the Las Vegas schools, and then I'm going to move on because then I get pissed off again. They had to reopen Las Vegas schools because the suicide of children went through the roof. Nothing to cheer when politicians help murder a bunch of people through bad diets, hiding healthy things that could help them, deleting Twitter pages and deleting doctors' videos and frontline doctors' information because they want to get somebody out of office. When karma from that swings back around, it's going to be amazing.
CNN has magically removed the COVID death tracker that they used to have constantly throughout this past year with under the president. And also, and Tucker mentions this, Jeff Tucker mentions this also significant is the world, and we talked about this last week, the World Health Organization is insisting that the PCR threshold be turned down because you're getting all these false positives. That might explain the fact that there was this huge peak recently that it may actually be the flu season plus a false positive test gives this COVID.
Which is what they said. Who was it? Corbett said that. Remember his video? Which is funny. People have been saying this from the very beginning. And Corbett said that, yeah, so what they're going to do is they're going to turn down the thresholds for PCR to make it look like the case-demic went away. And that's exactly what's going to happen. The case-demic goes away. Now, there are a lot of other things that could happen, right? I mean, you know, we are the most hated corporation in the world. So odds are people are chomping at the bit to release bioweapons. But this was the scam. And either we're going to call it a scam or we're not. And we're going to make people pay or we're not. Or they're going to use it again. Like 9/11. We didn't fix that problem. That can happen again. JFK. We didn't stop his killers. That can happen again. Martin Luther King. The people who helped kill him are still running free. One of them is still a pastor. We didn't do anything about it, so it can happen again. You know, it's one thing to see a problem and it's something else to remove the power so it never happens again. Like I said, it's no alleviation to end lockdowns and wearing face diapers. That's taking things back to adults dictating how they live their lives and what their health is. We have to go as far as to remove the people from power and the powers they use to abuse and kill 400,000 people. Tara's been she posted something else that was hitting early on, that the World Health Organization is now admitting things that the doctors and scientists they were silencing from the very beginning were telling us. So they will say the numbers are going down because mass and social distancing work. Exactly. And that was a scam all along, that the problem was Donald Trump, not the government that's subsidizing the poisoning of their population. So the number one cause of death, which was cardiovascular disease, coupled up with a flu, that target that creates clotting in the heart and the lungs, killed everybody. And so what they basically did is they grouped up cardiovascular disease with this thing, and they said, hey, there's something coming to get you, when really the only thing coming to get you was the Rockefeller Industries and all the poison they put in the air, food, the water, and the sugar. But that's what they'll do. And they made it obvious, Tara. So the question is, what are we going to do about it? How many are not being reported? Can't convince some of my older friends of the truth. Media says people are fighting cuckoo virus and they just can't get in line fast enough. Well, there's other things too, Tony, that are happening. And so we're just talking about like one aspect was the political side. Now you got corporations. See, the problem with letting the cat out the bag on public mass hysteria is it tends to have a way of getting away with itself. So you have corporations all lining up who are all thriving on this thing, chomping at the bit, from the police state, medical equipment, mask makers, and the others are pharmaceutical industry. Pharmaceutical industry is they're literally not going to go there with the word, but they're moist. They're like a shark. I go back to that one. They're like a shark, and they've tasted blood in the water. You're scared of the flu. They're going to come get you. These corporations have no significant new drugs in the pipeline. They're getting caught with their fingers in the cookie jar with epigenetics and the poisoning of people and altering of their genes through their synthetic drugs that they're getting people to take for lifetimes. They have to move over to genetic-based drugs. They have to move over to gene-targeted medications. But before they do that, they want to survive. How do they survive? The adult vaccination schedule. They have a vaccination schedule that they want to give to every man, woman, and child from birth to death. And that's how they can make money through forced customers through their most profitable line of drugs because there is no indemnity. Right? Their most profitable line of drugs is the statin drugs. I forgot, or either that or the antidepressants. Either way, both government cause problems. The statins are about sugar and clotting. Government subsidizes the sugar. And antidepressants are all about stress, and the government subsidizes that, right? Like they're the ones who take the land, so you have to work for slave plantations called corporations. So they're behind all of it. But then the other class is the V word, and with the V word, they need to force it, right? It's, to me, I believe it is the most, to me, based on what I recall, it is the most profitable line of drugs because they don't get any suits for those. They get sued for cough syrup. They get sued for headache medicine. They get sued for foot cream. You cannot sue them for the V word. So the testing over time, economically, the testing has been going down. They've been testing it less because they don't have indemnity. Right? If I said that right. The reason airplanes don't fall out the sky is because you got an NTSB making sure they don't fall out the sky. They would get sued, put out of business. If they didn't make airplanes that actually worked. The V word worked-ish, in my opinion, up to Fauci, which is probably why Fauci is the #1 paid United States Incorporated staff person ever, is that person, because he worked with Reagan to make sure that you cannot sue these massive corporations for the V word. And when that happened, the incentive to test them goes down, right? Return on investment, ROI. That's, one of those things from corporate America that sticks with me is that you can have all the well-meaning ideas that you want. At the end of the day, it all comes about to profit. For-profit corporations will always seek that profit. And the least they put into it, the least they get sued for it, the more they're going to push it. So now you've got, there's blood in the water and all these industries are flocking towards it.
Daniel, I'm surprised that you're surprised because we had a good guy there at CDC, makes a lot of money, so he must be good.
Yeah.
He must be very smart. He's been there for years after years, but it's not like he's an average bureaucrat, but he's been in charge and he's had a lot of control. I would say he is the face of everything about what's going on, except I don't even know if he probably might not even know about him backing off a little bit. This might annoy him, but he makes a couple bucks, you know, doing it. I think it's like $400,000. That's pretty good. That might be more than the president makes for all we know, you know. So he makes a lot of money, and I see nowhere where he's been very much contributing anything to safety and security and health, not because he has nothing to offer, it's because an individual can't do that. That's like the question they asked me, what would you tell the Federal Reserve to do about interest rates next week if you were in charge? I said, I can't tell, because you shouldn't have anybody telling anybody about what interest rates should be. And that's sort of the way you deal with health matters and economic matters and freedom matters. And even this whole issue of math. This is backing off. And like I mentioned, my opening statement, they're backing off just baby steps. But what about masks? The issue that he made on his executive order on masks is exactly the opposite. He was cracking down. Anybody who was on federal property had to wear it. And we've already seen pictures of how insane some of these pictures are, because you might catch a guy out in the mountains by himself fishing and he'd have his mask on, that sort of thing. But this is likely to technically say that the military people, even when they're not on active duty or when they're on active duty out of the country, they have to wear their mask. So it's the principle they need to understand. We want to show people that they're touching on the principle of a little bit of independence, and they're moving in this direction, saying, well, it looks like it failed. But really, it was just the Republicans. And now that we have a Democrat in charge, everything is going to be better. And I guess there's going to be a lot of people buying into this, because 99% of stuff that comes off most of the television is going to be just to support the idea that government is our savior.
Yeah, and you mentioned Fauci. I don't know if you used his name, but no, Fauci makes $417,608. This was reported in Forbes, the highest paid individual in the entire federal government. So, but he's no dummy. You said that maybe he's upset that the things are opening. Actually, a few days before the inauguration, he said the darkest times are coming, the darkest winter is coming. And then right after the inauguration, he said, oh, cases seem to be plateauing. So no, he knows what side his bread is buttered on, and it's buttered very, very lavishly. But here's a couple of other things. This is actually something, this is pretty remarkable. This is from Jeff Tucker's article. Let's put up this next clip. This is Massachusetts. And this is actually where we start, instead of celebrating, we start getting a little bit angry. Here's from Jeff Tucker's article. More remarkably, Massachusetts chief epidemiologist admits that the lockdowns didn't achieve their goal. Shira Dorn of Tufts said, quote, businesses and restaurants have not been shown to be a significant source of spread of infection, and it's not clear that the additional measures that were instituted in November and December actually helped. Jeff Tucker adds his comments, so sorry we ruined your holidays and lives. And that's tongue-in-cheek, but actually just do the next clip really quick before we turn it back, Dr. Paul, because this is something very close to your heart, I know, and this is from, I think, the New York Times. Surge of student suicides pushes Las Vegas schools to reopen. So, yes, it did ruin people's lives, and it ruined a lot of kids' lives.
You know, with the information
I'm gonna
we
stop
have
there. I'll let y'all finish it. I don't think there's any more important place to stop right there. If ever you're going to think about changing your life, changing your behavior, changing the things you support, it maybe should be a time when someone just helped thousands of children commit suicide across the country, and probably tens of thousands across the world. And there were so many suicides in California, they said that the morgues couldn't keep up with them. So some of y'all are out there celebrating. I really don't know what to tell you other than that you really need to reconsider the things that you get behind and the people who are behind those things. Sorry to end on that note, but I think that we can't always end on a happy note. You know, some really horrible things just happen, and we need to be honest about it. 400,000 people died, and this man makes $417 a year, and nobody's arrested. The FBI, Homeland Security, nobody's doing anything. So sorry to be silent today, but we got to accept the reality. If we're willing to just step back and just admit that the wolves are eating children, we need to do something about the wolves, and we got something to go on. But until we admit that the wolves are eating the children are going to get ate. We got work to do, people. And the only purpose for mature adults of any species is to make sure that the next generation fares better. And it ain't going to fare any better if the adults are still cheering the wolves. All right, I got to go. It's Gerard. Love y'all. I'm out. Bye and bye. Free to people.
Break the chains that bind me, 'cause I wanna break the chains that bind you. Do you wanna set the world free, have perfect harmony? Isn't it time for that? Do you wanna free, boom, 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 free the people? Do you wanna free, boom, 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 free the people from the bottom to the top? Make modern slavery stop. Do you want to let go of the prisoners? See everyone happy. We can have this and more if we open up the doors. Well, what do you think about that? Do you want to free, boom, boom, free the people? Do you want to free, boom, boom, free the people and Mother Nature too? Close down all the zoos. Do you want to boom, 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 boom? Do you want to boom, 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 boom? Do you want to free, boom, boom, free the people? Do you want to free?